Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon from every time zone around this crazy world of ours, everywhere where you get internet bits, be they tariffed internet bits or non tariffed internet bits. Who even knows these days? Welcome to Toast AM, coming from live from Bology Studios in rugged Eastern Canada. Tonight we are joined by my good friend and colleague and lots of other things.
What other things? I'm
Brother,
curious now.
Mover of bodies,
Yep.
helper of
Yep.
helper of pusher of cars.
Yep. Yep.
Occasional,
Occasional debtor.
troubleshooter.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
you know,
Emotional enabler. That's the word I'm looking for.
emotional
Enabler.
enabler.
Yeah.
Provider of memes.
Memes.
Memes. Of the
Yeah.
memes.
Sending all good
And
memes.
most importantly,
Yeah.
someone handsome to be on screen.
Just in case anybody thought that we weren't absolute, Gen X losers. We just put the nail in that coffin.
I don't mind being a loser, but a Gen X loser, I don't know about that.
I mean, actuarial tables show, Paul. It's out of our hands. Yeah.
Well, no one knows.
If you're any kind of loser, it's Gen X loser.
No one knows what years those things happen.
That's true.
Hotly debated. True. All right, Dave. Well,
yeah.
Welcome to another Toast to Toast AM. We almost didn't have one today.
Almost. That was my fault. But then we did.
So it's excellent.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm happy to be hanging out with everyone. Lots of people are here. We have a brain cramp. We have a Mark Fernkov, AZ Cat.
Michael Mazaris is there.
Work there is here somewhere. Timothy Harmon.
Caitlin
Chloe's in the chat. Yeah, we got lots of people.
DJ Ratgirl. Now I feel like we got to just go through and list everybody because
we don't have time for that, Dave. We gotta keep it at a slender 4 hours tonight because I got a busy day tomorrow.
Got a busy. Clever. You didn't make the cut.
It's like Romper Room. Not everyone gets called out every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right? You gotta do it. Yep.
We'll do the blanket and all my friends. I see, and all the friends in the chat. Yeah, that's right.
And others.
And others.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dave.
Woo! Hey, you know what, Paul?
What's that, Dave?
On the eve of a trade war between us and our closest ally and neighbor, how about a toast?
Oh yeah, sure. Toast to
here's to peace in our times.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cheers. It's possible this show is going to be 25% more expensive for everyone next time.
It's possible. Yeah. Heck, it might even happen, if we go long enough.
Midstream, it could happen.
Yeah, you all might. That's not on us. Just want to say that right there, Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, before the bad stuff, we I don't know if that affects today's sponsor, Dave.
Oh, absolutely it does not, Paul.
Good, because as we alluded, they're part of what we needed to. We love hanging out with all of you. That is the greatest joy we have, and we're excited. We made it happen tonight, but there are some ancillary expenses like the excess tequila I just drank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping the internet on. I have to rent this dog every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I try and get a similar looking dog. I hope people.
Well, our show isn't very high res. Our production values aren't.
No, that's true. That's why I keep that down in the corner there.
It's like old 8-bit games and CRT.
That's
monitors,
right.
Right. If you want to get, because it just covers up a multitude of sins. You just kind of get that blur. Yeah.
A bit of Toast to Toast trivia. There have been 3 different Daves who've hosted this show.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
My real name is Anton Bogarts, and I am.
You just get a bald guy with a beard. People don't really notice.
People don't know. It's like, hey, just wear this wacky shirt, and, say something stupid about
Yeah, that's right.
a product that doesn't exist.
All right, but we know we have all those bills, so
Yeah,
as you know,
yeah,
we appreciate the super chats. We appreciate everyone supporting us with your
absolutely.
watching of the ads and the various things.
Yep. Hmm.
But Dave, before we get into tariff territory,
Yeah.
tell us about today's sponsor.
Well, Paula, I really am tremendously excited to talk about the sponsor of tonight's show. Um, I don't know, Paul, how things have been lately in your part of the country, but frankly, where I live, the current forecast leaves a lot to be desired. You and I, Paul, we come from the land of ice and snow, and I don't know about your hometown, but mine doesn't have any midnight suns or hot springs flowing. It mostly has 18-hour periods of darkness and temperatures so low your skin will freeze in under a minute. What do you know the worst part about winter is, Paul? Um, it's not the frostbite. It's not the fact your car won't start. It's not the just extra hassle involved, slow traffic, everything to do with it. No, no. The absolute worst part about winter is that after trudging through drifts of snow, Arctic gales, and raging torrents of salty slush, there is absolutely positively no worse feeling than walking into your nice warm home and having your thighs and calves assaulted by wet, cold, clingy pants. It's disgusting. It's terrible. The worst. Paul, luckily, the nightmare of frigid thighs is over. Thank you to the newest innovation from the scientists and engineers working for our friend Patrick J. Pleadington. I'm happy to talk about today's sponsor, Snow Pants. That's right, Paul, Snow Pants. Another paradigm shifting, world changing product from the good people at Pants. Now, Paul, my deep and abiding love for pants and the ad revenue they generate for us is well documented. But I admit, I was a little skeptical about this one. I said to Patrick, I said, it's madness. They'll be as uncomfortable as hell, troublesome to put on. They'll melt every single time you go outdoors. This is a terrible idea. Eventually, through a combination of felt puppets and patient instructors, it was explained to me that snow pants are not actually made of snow, but are instead a sort of warm, water resistant pant that you wear over top of your normal everyday pants. I'm going to pause for a moment and let the implications of that sink in. You heard me correctly, Paul. We're talking about double pants. Pants for your pants. Huh? There is a whole bunch of copy here I'm supposed to read about fleece and wind resistance and cross-country skiing and other shit, but honestly, who cares? All you need to know is that this is a legitimate excuse to wear pants on top of your pants and not look like a crazy person. And do you know what else, Paul? As they have so many times before, the good people at Pants have arranged a very special offer for the watchers of this stream for the entire month of February. Everyone who uses the promo code Toast the Toast, that's TOST, the number 2, TOST, when ordering a pair of snow pants, will receive, at absolutely positively no extra charge, a set of thick woolen socks to wear over top of their normal socks when your footsies get chilly. Amazing! What an incredible deal. Pants for your pants and socks for your socks at an incredible deal. So, Paul, do not walk, run with a brisk thwip, thwip, thwip sound that every Canadian child knows into a pants store and get yourself a pair of snow pants today. Pants for your pants. You'll be glad that you did. Snow pants.
Whip, whip, whip.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers to snow pants.
Here's the snow pants.
Um,
If you know, you know. Thwip, thwip, thwip.
Also, they've never, as far as I know, Dave, they've never made snow pants for teenagers.
I
As
mean,
far as I've ever seen, I've never
yeah,
seen someone between the age of 12 and 20
wear snow pants.
wear snow
Yeah,
pants.
you're right. That is an entirely untapped market. Someone
They
should get
should
on that.
probably look into that.
They should probably look into that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't. This is why I do the ads, and you're the business mind. You're looking, you're seeing the
I'm actually,
opportunity.
I end up being the naysayer. I like to point out problems. I'm
Like,
not. Yeah,
but that's it. Every good duo you need to have that, right?
that's
You need
right.
to have
I'm
your
not a
yin and your yang.
Canadian. I'm a Cantadian.
You're a Canadian. Yes.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, all
Oh,
right. Well, thank you to our good friends over at Pants who have been, longtime sponsors of the show. We appreciate you. Been with us since the beginning. Excellent.
excellent.
All right. So I put a link to the bingo game. We're not doing trivia tonight, but we are doing
No,
bingo.
we're doing bingo.
Dave and I are optimistic that tonight's subject matter will be a little bit more conducive to bingoing.
We're hopeful.
We're hopeful.
As always, we don't we don't pre-listen to the episode, so we're not sure,
We're
but
not sure. I'm marking off have a drink.
yeah, we both have.
And
Let's do it.
yep, and then I need to see what else is on my card here. See what kind of stuff I got going on. What I'll be keeping my
Well,
ear out for. But I did put a link if you want to
ooh,
join with us on the
yes,
bingo game. You may join with that link, the special link.
pants again. Yeah, I don't like that tone, Kip. You should say, "Oh goody, pants again!" Exclamation mark.
Really, what
I
that
think is what
shows
you meant to type there.
is that this show is so effective
Hmm.
on the for the bottom line and the promotion
Yeah,
of fine products like pants.
absolutely. And there's no
That it's
better.
not just a one time, oh, we tried that toast to toast show and we got no bump. We got
Nope.
they pants got the toast to toast bump.
They got the toast toast bump.
That's right.
I mean, I usually do too, but that's a different thing.
Get your knob sorted.
Paul's a handsome man. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. Well, I feel like I'm not going to be seeing Shannon drunk in chat tonight.
Hmm. Perhaps she's doing some stuff in the stuff around the house. So we'll see.
So we'll see. I do have Dave tells an unrelated story on my card.
Oh, so you are in control of that.
So I'm in control of that.
You might want to
Let's
save it.
see.
You might want to save it for just for you know, for showmanship to make a big show at the end.
Yes. Yeah. I got
Indeed.
the Dead Sea Scrolls, so hopefully for mine and Kip's sake, we get that thrown in there somehow. Yeah. Near Death, Knight Templar, Terror. I don't know. Mine, I got a pretty eclectic mix here today. I think, I've got stating wild conjectures established fact that I feel like the God Code is a good, like, just straight off the hop. I can probably check that.
All right. So those who don't know, we may as well get to it here. We
Yeah.
This show is ostensibly about covering old Art Bell shows from when Art Bell hosted the Coast to Coast AM show late at
Yeah.
night
Mm-hmm.
around the nation and around the world.
Yes.
One
Multiple
of the
nations.
most watched, most listened to syndicated radio shows that ever there was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we listened to old episodes. Now Dave dug this one out of the
Yep.
trash heap.
Yep.
Now some of you said, "Hey, God Code. I've heard of that before. You covered God Code." No. That's Bible code.
Yeah. I've always I keep pitching Bible code to Paul, by the way, but we don't,
Well, no, have we not done it yet? We
No,
need
we've
to
never
that
done a
absolutely.
Bible code episode.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
this would be good preparation for Bible code, but this is not Bible
Mhm.
code, everyone.
It's not the Bible code. No.
This is not where they like run algorithms and do word finds in Leviticus. Oh, look,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
found where it's
We did. We
where it says
got
Jets
we're
win. And then this doesn't say that. Don't do
doing the
that.
jumble. Yeah.
Yeah, doing the jumble. That's right. This not this. This is
Yeah.
this is God code where God, as far as I understand it, and we will find out if this is correct, God is sending us messages, kind of like sending us faxes
Yes.
via our own DNA.
Our own DNA. Yes.
And now that we can sequence our DNA,
Mm-hmm.
we can read the secret messages that God sent to us. So that's going to be exciting.
Yes.
And as all good books about DNA are, Dave, it was written by someone who is a computer scientist.
Well, that is where the best stuff from.
That's right.
Now,
how dare a computer scientist stray out of their field and go
say,
onto a show and start talking about other topics?
not on my watch.
How dare that happen?
Yeah.
All right, Dave, we have some super chats.
Hey, we do. We got a whole bunch. So we start with Jay Victor.
We'll start with J. Victor. My bingo card has a Paul. My bingo card has a Paul and Dave don't trail off into a tangent. Fingers crossed. Well,
Yeah, I
we got your
mean,
back. We'll do our best.
we don't have your back.
No. Oh,
You're
but
your
thank you for
bones,
the. We appreciate the
lad.
super chat, J.
We
Victor.
do appreciate the super chat. Yeah,
And we have
Sean F.
Sean F. for the beer fund, Canadian
Hey,
$10. So we don't have to.
woo-hoo.
We don't
Yep.
have to put any sanctions on that at all.
No, congratulations, good for us. Yeah,
If it had been in the U.S., we would have to have 25% fewer less beer. I guess would be.
or maybe more. I actually don't know how that works.
Actually, we don't know how the math works. We may as well assume more till we're
I'm
told
not
otherwise.
Yeah.
And poor Claire, thank you so much, poor Claire.
Mhm,
What is
mhm.
real magic?
Right?
What is HAARP or
Harp.
harp?
Harp.
Explain, Dave. What's harp?
Harp was a real place. I think it's no longer in operation. It was in Alaska. It was high altitude something. They would shoot really high powered radio waves into the upper atmosphere to create a whole bunch of different effects and do experiments. And it was a secret government project. And so there was a bunch of crazy conspiracy theories about harp. There's a lot of Art Bell shows about harp, but none of them are ones we've ever done. But I threw it on the bingo because it comes up in conspiracy stuff a lot. And it's also the
Indeed.
name of a Muse tour. I think they had a harp tour. Real magic is real magic. Magic that's real.
Yeah,
So
not the.
I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah. You know it when you see it. It's like pornography. It's hard to define, but you know it when you
Yeah,
see it.
but not. But basically, what we're saying is not like stuff you get at a birthday party.
No, exactly. Not Penn and Teller, not
Yeah. We're talking about like real magic.
real magic. Yeah.
Like
Wizards do.
yeah, like what wizards do. You know when you see it.
You know when you see it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you for the super chats. I think we're caught up for the moment.
It's possible a lot of these are left purposefully vague to make it easier for me to argue why they should be ticked off.
Perhaps.
And therefore win bingo.
Managing ambiguity is a life skill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at it.
All right. Let's go back to 2005, March 2005.
Yes.
Which is roughly 20 years ago.
I mean, roughly.
And we will let's see what artists say.
What would it mean to discover an ancient language, a literal message hidden within the DNA of life itself? What we once believed of our past is about to change, according to Gregg Braden. A remarkable discovery linking the ancient biblical alphabets to modern chemistry reveals that a lost code, including a text message revealing a clue to the mystery of our origins, has lived within all of us all along. Following the clues discovered in 4,000-year-old texts, the language of life may now be replaced with key letters of the ancient languages translated. The message reveals that the precise letters of God's ancient name are in...
I'm so glad Kip's here, at least he was for a moment. Yeah. This has already gone a little bit sideways from what I thought was going to happen, because I didn't think he was tying Hebrew
somehow, or
I didn't think he was somehow tying Hebrew to DNA. I thought it was just more, of a general God sends this message in DNA. Okay, but he's tying it to the Bible. I guess
we'll let the guy explain it. So I assume
we'll let the guy explain it, but
because normal DNA is oh man, it's been so long. It was a GTAC. C, right?
Yeah.
So what if instead of those letters they were Hebrew letters? Could you then use it to spell out, Yahweh?
Presumably, and they had no vowels in the old Hebrew, so they didn't need it.
That makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
Back to weigh in and tell us about how revolutionary this genius is.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Coded as the genetic information in every cell of every life. Greg, welcome to the program.
Well, good morning, Art. It's a pleasure to hear your voice, and I'm really excited about being here this evening. Thank you.
And excited to have you. That's quite a radical statement to make. That's pretty radical that there's a secret code hidden in our DNA with a link to our origins and God's name in there.
Well, what makes it even more exciting, Art, this project that, as you mentioned in the introduction, it is the result of 12 years of research. The project isn't complete. It's ongoing. And it appears that what we see is the genome, as our genetic code, actually exists as a code in many layers. And each layer has its own key to unlock the message in that layer. We are still working with the deeper keys and the deeper layers, so there is much, much more to go.
I'm excited. Yeah.
So my apologies to the audio. It is what it is. So the call at the start, I did a bit of a checking. It does. His audio gets clearer as we go.
Probably through a commercial break or something.
Right, exactly. But it's sorry, but as you can hear, Arch is quite clear, but the caller is not. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, what is exactly the God code?
The God code is the result of 12 years of research. It began when I was an engineer in the defense industry during the last years of the Cold War, looking for what I suspected was a universal principle of peace that exists in all life. And once recognized, my hope is that message would prevent us from finding ourselves in the kinds of wars that we found ourselves in so many times in the 20th century.
Well, the fact that we...
Okay. When did we sequence the genome, Dave?
Oh, what's his name? Won a Nobel Prize for it. It was in the 90s, I want to say, early 90s, right?
Yeah, was it
the
Genome and he's Francis Collins, was that his name?
I don't remember.
He's a
Oh, well, okay, so it began in 1990, but it wasn't completed until 2003.
All right, so this was, so as of the recording of this show, we had the genome had been sequenced for about 2 years, so there would have been a lot of hype and excitement.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But large chunks of it that was when the last of it was, right? Like there was a lot of it that was out prior to that. So he would have
yes, that's true. That is
yeah.
So I think Francis Collins, if I'm right. Yeah, Francis Collins. He actually is a speaker for BioLogos, which is and advocates for. He's a Christian man who advocates for Christians believing in evolution is a thing.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yes.
We
Anyway.
have found ourselves in so many
he wasn't around.
No. He's all right.
Personal hatred.
He's
vitriol.
He also he looks like everybody has an uncle that looks like this guy.
Yeah, that part's
yeah.
True. Yeah. Oh, so apparently the harp is still ongoing. All right, well, good enough. Yeah.
Greg, what does that say? Does that say the message is not clear, or there are conflicting messages, or what?
I think it's so new, Art. This is to a scientist, this is absolutely mind-boggling. What we're going to discuss over these next 3 hours, there's nothing in our existing training in science that allows us in the past to cross the traditional boundaries that have separated science from ancient and spiritual traditions and the sciences themselves. The only way to arrive at the kinds of information we're going to discuss tonight is, in fact, to cross those traditional boundaries between chemistry, geology, biology, physics, language, to marry all of that wisdom into a greater knowledge that tells us more than any of them do individually. And when we do that,
real magic square might just after all.
Yeah, it's looking good. Actually, at this point, it's looking good.
Is the way that this information is revealed. So my belief has always been that we are an intentional species. Art, I think we're here on purpose. I don't claim to know who or what's responsible for our being here. But the research and the more we understand about the complexities of DNA strongly suggests, as Francis Crick and so many other scientists have said as well, that there is an underlying intelligence that precedes the human race here as we know it today.
Right. I understand that we have something called, the scientists call junk DNA, which is, first of all, define junk DNA for me.
Let me just be angry before it even starts.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is it?
So junk DNA was an unfortunate moniker, much like Big Bang. There's sometimes people who make the discovery, they don't think about how weird people are going to take it.
Right.
So junk DNA was the label given to non-encoding DNA. So there's large sections of our genome that don't actually create proteins, right? Like no sections of them are ever used to create proteins. So non-encoding. So that became known as junk DNA, unfortunately. Think with the idea that, well, we could just clip all that out and our cells would be exactly the same.
Right.
And accurately, people who advocate evolution were able to actually, when they sequenced the so-called junk DNA, they were able to say, well, some of these sequences are common with other, like with reptiles and with other mammals and things, right? Like,
right.
So they were able to use that as identifiers, and unfortunately, probably overplayed their hands as far as creationists went. Because then people discovered that, well, this non-encoding DNA, some of it actually does sometimes function for like folding and for other things, right?
Right.
So it's not technically junk. Like we can't toss it. We couldn't clip it out of everyone's cell and everyone's life carry on.
Right.
Unaffected.
Right.
Fine. But it got called junk DNA, and so now when people like our guest here are going to say, well, turns out it does do stuff. It's going to be,
we'll see what the computer scientist.
We'll see what he says, but I'm anticipating he's going to go, it does do stuff, therefore the scientists are dumb.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I hate,
Well, up until last year, junk DNA was DNA that looked like it had no purpose, and the way the way that scientists would try to explain it away is they said they were vestiges of ancient DNA that we no longer use.
Like the appendix.
Sure, that was the best guess. As of last year, 2004, however, some radical discoveries in the world of genetics showed not only is junk DNA not an appendage that we're no longer using, that it is actually through what we have called junk DNA that the instructions are coded for the rest of our DNA to do what it does. So that what we've always thought was junk DNA is perhaps some of the most vital elements of the DNA. It has the instructions that tells the rest of the genetic code what to do.
And somehow you found a message within that. Within the junk DNA.
Well, it wasn't in the junk DNA. What I began looking at, Art, coming from the place that I believe that we are here on purpose, I asked myself a question: if we are an intentional species, it makes tremendous sense to me that somewhere in our past we would have been.
And yet, Akio, every single year, our DNA on New Year's Eve is like, you know what, I gotta cut this out. I gotta slim down. The DNA is like my New Year's resolution this year. I got some excess around the middle on my DNA. Anyway,
he didn't belabor the point or went. He just said, well, they used to think it was this, but now it turns out it really does.
It is true. My rant, my preemptive rant was unnecessary.
Yeah. And then he just blew right by it and was like, that's not what I'm talking about at all. Moving on. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason Moody, for becoming a Apologia supporter.
Cool guy.
I wish Dave would become a Apologia supporter.
Never.
You never support me, man.
You never joined my channel.
Left a clue that tells us that, and it makes very little sense that clue would have been, left on a temple wall or in a single text that could crumble over time. It made tremendous sense to look within the creation of life itself for that code.
I would have to agree. It does make sense.
Sure. This is in the late 1980s. We did not know about DNA then. Certainly, what we know now. I was working in the defense industry in an area of software development that we call pattern recognition. And the first time I saw human DNA come across the sequences come across my computer screen, I looked at it and I said, "Wow, I don't know what it says, but there are definitely patterns there. This is not a random sequence." And that led me on the search.
All right. I wonder if we're
This yeah. I mean, we all know where this is going.
Yeah, we'll let it ride.
headed toward something like the Bible code.
Well, as we get into this tonight, what we're going to find is there are direct links, correlations between the way the Bible code and the Torah are encoded and the way that it appears the DNA in all life is encoded.
Greg, I haven't made up my mind totally.
I cannot wait to hear how
in that if we randomly look for some kind of numerical pattern.
How
Just
ancient
find an alphabet where it's
ancient documents were assembled just like DNA. Yeah,
about the Bible code yet. It's totally intriguing.
Sure,
the whole concept is intriguing, but I don't.
Yeah, so if you have Bible code in your card, I think you definitely you got that one.
I mean, they straight up said it. Yeah,
I'm not personally certain whether it's valid or not. Are you?
What I've seen, the jury's out on precisely why it works the way it works, all right? But what I have seen, the little that I have had the opportunity to work with the codes directly, in addition to reading what all the other researchers have found.
Right.
And for listeners that may not be familiar with the Bible code, this is a code that is found only in the Torah. The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible and subsequently the Christian Old Testament. There's something about the way the Torah was written that makes it unique. It stands alone.
Yeah. The way it was written was that lots of different documents existed, and then in about 1000 BC, 1200 BC, editors took various different documents and stitched them together. That's how that happened.
So you've got an agenda, is what I'm hearing.
So yeah, not only did this code had to be spread across many documents.
Also, I have absolutely seen Bible code stuff that
outside, goes to Jeremiah or Isaiah.
I've never heard it. It's like,
for sure.
Torah. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, and New Testament too.
That's
like, yes,
one on me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's the way to. That's actually a way to other those other people. They're using Isaiah. Idiots.
Idiot. Let me tell you what I know about Isaiah that I learned this week. It's identical to some other
That's
thing that I
word for word. What? Word for word.
Yep. Yep.
And now Joe Rogan's a Christian. Yep, that's how that goes.
Absolutely. Yep.
From any other text, and this code works only with the Torah.
I interviewed Drosnin, and I must say he is very, very, very convincing. It seems way past chance probability, way past.
Well, I think as with the code in our DNA, I believe that the Bible code as we know it today is incomplete. I think we have only scratched the surface, and that is why the jury is still out. My sense is that as we go into the deeper message of the way the Bible code works, there will be less question as to whether or not it's an authentic code or not.
And so the question, like as in the Bible code, when I had Drosnin on, I asked him this, and I'll ask you, what are the odds that this message has occurred by chance, as a coincidence of some sort of odd circumstances? I'm sure you've
high, very high.
I'm guessing the answer is 0. I guess we'll see which of us is right. So
maybe
close to 0 as to be statistically, equivalent to 0.
I feel like now that AI is advancing and China's taking over and whatever, like we're not going to have jobs in a couple months. If the news is to be believed, Dave, we're going to be superfluous momentarily.
I mean, I'm a bricklayer, so I'm good.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
the AI is coming for the bricklaying jobs too.
Not yet.
Mm,
They don't want to
okay.
do that shit.
Well, I'm sure I will be superfluous again, momentarily. I can
Again,
dedicate my
right.
time to using the AI to if I end up getting like a year off or whatever, running Bible code all across like the Lord of the Rings or
Mm.
Dune
Yep.
or just running the same algorithms across the phone books from Cleveland.
Yeah. I
And
mean, given
just
how
like,
how fast computers are now, you can
yeah,
do it a
it's
lot,
like
right? Yeah.
I guarantee you can come up with some pretty powerful messages in yeah.
Hmm.
I I ran the Bible code stuff against all the takeout menus in New York City.
This
And
is how Paul and I won the lottery 4 times in a row,
yeah.
and that was keep our mouth shut.
Mm,
Uh,
On the math, or somebody has,
Sure.
on what you found.
Sure. Well, I asked myself that
Uh-oh.
question as
that
clicky
was good. It was
clacks.
clicky clacks. We were doing so good,
We got
even with all the updates.
yeah, I did update all the stuff, but the
Ooh. Oh no, I talked about the Dead Sea Scrolls. They haven't talked about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I flew high to the sun, as you know, this week. I decided to click
Mhm.
update on all the things that wanted to update. Like, sure, how about now?
Way to fucking go, Icarus. You done did it.
Yeah.
it happened as an accident. There's a fluke of nature, which is about 1 in 256,000 are the odds that it's a fluke.
So you, to be clear, you collected this.
No, you can't. The odds, you can't. The odds that it's a fluke. You need to divide by something. It's like
Yeah, he did. He divided by 256,000.
a number he pulled out of his ass. Perfect.
No, that's science. That is a calculated number based on the genomes
The genes.
in a DNA. Science. Do you know how many genomes there are in a DNA? You don't. So stop acting like you do.
How many genomes per DNA? One. It's one. The answer is one.
It might be 256,000. Science can't tell. And that's
I am.
we have.
I'm nearly completed. I've been rereading the Dune series, Dave.
Ooh,
I'm
really
nearly
cracking.
done. Children of Dune. I'm the last few
Okay.
chapters.
Yeah. So you're
So,
still in the sweet spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is just a recent development. But I somehow missed. So I read Dune a couple times, but I was in like 7th, 8th grade, and then I read it
Yeah.
again
So
in high school.
you haven't read Dune for like 30
Yeah,
years or
it's been
something.
for quite a
Yeah.
few years. So now, but I'd forgotten about. So I didn't notice at the time the Orange Catholic Bible, which I actually love. Anytime they reference.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if you recall that in the books. It basically, yeah, somewhere in their library,
Yes.
there's
And it's thousands of pages, and it's like micro thin paper, and he's got his flips, and it's the amalgamation of all religions into the Catholic Orange Bible, right? It's
yeah.
all religions. There's only one
But
religion.
yeah, and so the Bible is yet just but one of like our sacred book is in a compilation. that's
Yes.
that's what's left.
Yeah.
Many thousands of years later. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have loved it, when I originally read it.
Message or deciphered this message from our
You know what?
structured.
Or Claire? Yeah. I say it is. What do you say, Paul?
No. Are we talking about bingo stuff?
We're talking about bingo stuff. The super chat.
Oh. Did I miss a super chat? Dang damn it.
There's a
I got apology supporter. Oh, here we go. This is from Axel, you mean?
is the fax machine not working?
I saw one fax machine thing come through.
Maybe I just missed it. That's the one right there. Yeah.
Is junk DNA a folksy expression? Yes. Yeah, it is a non-scientific, no one's, much like saying that certain animals are fish, right? It's like, well, there's no actual clade, there's no solid family genus species. It's like, hey, these are fish. but people just kind of call groups fish. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So there you go, Claire. Yes. Tick away.
Primarily used by outlets like USA Today and places like that, right? There's like, we can call it junk DNA.
Well, you know what, Paul?
Philistine.
I've got a question for you.
The
Philistine
Philistine?
asks, yeah.
Go ahead.
Cheers, Buzz. Cheers, Philistine. Have you ever watched an old Robert Sapolsky, lecture on the biological underpinnings of religiosity? Seriously, it answers so many questions. Martini glass, rock salute. Yes. No, I have not. Have you, Paul?
I have not. This is apparently Robert Sapolsky.
Okay. Might
He,
check it
he
out.
he looks a little bit like
Looks like
someone
Alan
who's,
Moore.
yeah, someone who's been lost in the woods more than once. But no, I haven't, unfortunately. So I will definitely check that out. I will cycle
The
back.
biological underpinnings of religiosity. All right. I'm making a note.
But I have done, so just so that everyone knows, I do take this stuff seriously. The whole what's the paranormal police show that someone wanted me to watch?
Wellington Paranormal.
Wellington Paranormal. So I watched now 4 episodes.
It's pretty good, right?
I don't love it.
Hmm.
It is exact. So I think it's partially because I've been extra grumpy these days.
I mean, you do hate fun, famously.
Yeah, famously I hate fun. And so it is exactly the same sense of humor
Yeah.
as the original What They Do
What
in the
We Do in the
Shadows and the new What They Do in the Shadows. So I get it. I didn't love it. It was good, but not great.
Okay.
I think my favorite part so far, and it's not really a spoiler, is the chief of police there pretending that he's got extra security around his room when he doesn't. When he doesn't really. Boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop.
Les Nessman vibe.
Yeah, it's Les Nessman vibes. It's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just I mentioned that primarily.
Well, so
I
Paul,
know
apparently, so Shannon might be familiar with this gentleman. So Sapolsky is apparently a very famous neurobiologist and social philosopher.
Oh, interesting.
Who's done like lectures at Stanford and stuff. So there you go. So
I have been reading neurobiology recently. So, all right.
DNA, right?
Precisely.
Whew.
And again, going back into my time in the aerospace industry, I didn't understand then what I now understand about DNA, and I began looking for this message the way I was trained as a scientist to look in the world around me. Art, and it was fascinating. It led me on a journey into the temples.
To find this revelation, this great truth that you couldn't discover by looking at it the way you would when trained as a scientist. No. You can't look at the world around you. You need to look at the deeper truths.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yes.
I also feel like what's true about him was that he was a software engineer.
Apparently for aerospace or something somehow.
No, so it's much like I was a software engineer for a phone company, for example.
Yeah, for example.
I was also a software engineer for places that focused on fitness and weight loss.
Yeah.
That does not make me a weight loss expert. Does
it make you a genetics expert?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
I mean, yes, Mark, you could absolutely, like, everybody, if you got revelation unique to guess, just tick it off. This whole show is based around a revelation. I don't know what arbitrary point we're going to say you can tick that, but just go ahead and tick it. Yeah.
There's no air and space.
Yeah.
But there's an aerospace museum.
An air and space museum. Yeah.
In the tombs of Egypt and the monasteries and the highlands in central China, all through South America, Bolivia, Peru, the shamanic traditions all through the desert Southwest and India and Nepal, looking as a scientist for the clues, and all of the clues simply said, stop looking out here. You're not going to find the answer to who you are in the world around you. They all said, look within. And I began to take that clue literally, and when I did, following the instructions that were left in a 4,000-year-old Hebrew text, marrying that with the best science of our time, that's how this translation came about.
All right, you're educated.
Okay. I'm getting ahead. He's going to explain it. What I'm
for
excited to hear these
patterns.
revelations.
When you looked
of
at
the text.
our DNA, what did you roughly see that made you say, yikes, there is a pattern there?
Repetitive sequences, precisely the same repetitive sequences coming up again and again and again, separated by vast distances of other stuff that
So remind me again.
Yes, Dave.
How many whatever things
Base pairs.
Base pairs. Yeah. There are in
Well,
human DNA.
We have 23 chromosomes, and how, that's a great question. So, how many base pairs in the human chromosome? And so 3 billion.
So you're telling me there's 3 billion genomes in a DNA.
That's right. Yes. That's yep. In metric. Only if you have metric DNA.
In a metric DNA, we have 3
So in the States, it's a little different, but yeah.
And every base pair, there's 4 different types of base pairs, right? Is that
correct? Actually, interestingly, depends on how you count it. So A and C always go together, and G and T always go together. Right. But it can be AC or CA, and it can be GT and G. So I don't know how many combinations exactly we're talking about, but yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
That does answer my question.
Okay. So one of the things that they know about how when mutations happen.
Right.
So some of the times when mutations happen, it's for a single base pair. And like it might flip, or it might go from AC to GT, whatever. But what also happens quite frequently is that whole sections get duplicated. So kind of like if you're working on a document and you hit copy and then you hit paste twice.
Right.
You end up getting like whole sentences twice.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in DNA, and actually that's when the cool stuff happens, because it's more than just little flip. It's like, oh, now suddenly we got like a whole bunch of extra shit. But what that also creates by doing that is exactly what he's talking about, where it's like, well, we saw the same sequence several times. Well, yeah, because that's actually that's a super common mutation effect, is where sequences get duplicated, not just single base pairs get duplicated. So yes, that is just a thing that happens.
Right. And that aside,
yes.
So it's been quite a few years since I took any mathematics or statistics, but I feel like if you crunch the numbers on how many different combinations of 4 you could have in 3 billion.
Yes.
You're gonna, you know what I'm trying to say? You're gonna, if you just, put the number 1 through 4 at random 3 billion times, you're gonna see some patterns in there.
Right. Even if you wrote software to say, don't include any patterns.
Yeah. Like there's just a limit. There's a limit to how many possible.
There's only that's right. There's only, my language is 4 letters here. There's only so many
combinations
I can do that don't look to an outside observer who wants there to be patterns to look like patterns. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's
very good. Oh, Timothy Harmon did the math for us. So that's excellent. Yeah. So 3 billion times 5 nines plus 32 is the number of base pairs in the U.S. Yeah, that's yeah.
But tomorrow there's going to be an extra 25% on that. So
that's true.
It's going to get weird. The math gets weird. Yeah.
We're going to have some weird looking babies under the new administration.
I think weirder. That's all. All right.
Recognize. It's all about language. If for the purposes of our conversation tonight, if our listeners, if we can begin to think, when we talk about cells, we typically think of cells as these spherical capsules of the sticky, gooey protoplasmic stuff.
Right.
And each cell has 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes that are made of long strands of DNA that are made of shorter strands of genes. And that's the way we think about it. If we can use the following metaphor for our evening, it will help tremendously in visualizing how this works. If we can think of each cell as an entire library, the average human has about 50 trillion cells in the body, so 50 trillion libraries in our bodies. And
no, but that's not a good
don't we have
analogy.
50 trillion copies of the same library?
That's right.
I mean,
That's
I know
it.
it's
That's
not
exactly right.
We just talked about mutations.
Yeah. No,
Kind of very much the point of DNA.
that's right. It's like, okay, so you got one library full of books. Imagine there were 50,000 libraries, but they all had exactly the same set of books. What more would you learn? Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing new. They might have different opening. Some might be open later at night. You can go there, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. You pinpointed the flaw there. I did perfectly.
Well,
each of those libraries, each of those 46 chromosomes, if we can think of those as a book, and if we can think of the long strands of DNA as chapters within the book, and the shorter segments of genes, if we can think of those as paragraphs and sentences, that goes a long way in helping us to find the new metaphor for looking at this information.
No, that actually clearly, I mean, that is a way to you can make analogies of all kinds of things. But that doesn't mean that that's how it is.
So you don't follow his analogy.
I'm too stupid to understand what he's saying.
You're not stupid, Paul. You're just ignorant. But don't worry.
Simple.
He's here to help. Yeah.
He's here to help.
Yeah.
In life, because it appears that's precisely the way this works.
Well, I have a very limited understanding of genetics, but I guess it is.
I mean, honestly, anything that can be subdivided, he could just say is. No, first of all, imagine that each genome is an episode of TV. And then the longer genome is like a season. And then longer than that, that's like a whole series.
You lost
And then
me.
the whole genome is like a streaming service like Disney Plus.
But I mean, they didn't exist back then, Paul. So he would have been groundbreaking. Netflix was still mailing DVDs.
I'm just saying, you can't just say, well, sometimes we can subdivide things. And then therefore it'll help you better understand.
Yeah.
Well, when you go buy groceries, Dave, you can get like a box of cereal, and that box of cereal, it's on a shelf, you see.
Like you got to
remember, that shelf, there's a whole aisle.
You got to remember, Paul, in 2006, if you would talk to the average person on the street and said, so you have chromosomes and genomes and genes, the average person would have said, well, all three of those things are exactly the same thing. You're just there's no difference.
No,
they're all the same thing.
You and I both went to high school before 2006.
Why is he saying this, Paul? That obviously that is what everybody believes and knows, because that's why you have to use some sort of metaphor to explain to them that these things are actually different and contain different amounts of information in them.
Well, let's not remember that you and I are foolishly thinking of things in scientific terms.
That's right. I forgot.
You will never learn that. You will never learn what he knows by appealing to science.
He did lay that out right at the start.
Yeah. So
I'm being foolish. Yeah.
Code that tells our body at different times during its life how to proceed, to grow this, grow that, begin doing this, begin doing that. I mean, it's sort of like an instruction manual and operating manual for the body, right?
Well, that's the way we think of it today. It appears it works that way. And just as every book before chapter 1 has a preface or a foreword or an introduction, it appears that...
What's that?
I said not every book, but
not every book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cat in a Hat, there's no preface.
Our DNA has precisely the same thing, and it took 12 years to crack the codes for the...
Wait, our DNA has a preface?
Mm-hmm.
Has a preface?
Yeah.
I've lost... What part of DNA is the preface, Dave?
It's the preface.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I sometimes I mispronounce words.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing you got to remember, Paul, is that the genes are like chapters, and also there's the preface.
Okay.
Do you get it now?
Now I get it. Now I think I got it.
Right.
Introduction. The introduction is what we're going to talk about tonight, and it's what this God code is all about. Deeper layers have different codes to translate them, and we're in the process of translating those now. If we were to do this program 6 months from now, I think we'd know a lot more then certainly than we know now.
There's an author I frequently interview, and it's irresistible to quote him. He wrote a
No, Akio, telomeres are those are the bookends, like in the library, when you got the little things that hold the books in.
Right.
That's a telomere. That's not a preface.
book about the God part of the brain. And the contention is that we all have a mortal fear of death. And so our brain, as a defense mechanism, has cooked up a need to worship. And is there any correlation to the message that you found that sounds familiar with the need to worship?
I'm trying to understand if I'm angry. I'm trying to figure out emotionally if I'm angry at art right now or actually like, yes, preach it.
I mean, I'm just waiting to see if we ever get any explanation of what this code is. Or
yeah, I hope that would be good.
Yeah.
But
art all we know
like,
is there's a code and there's deeper codes. Yeah. Yes, and art is just
although I guess he's on my side. He's like, yeah, we're all afraid of death, so we make up shit to deal with it.
You got to remember, Paul, is as he always does. I believe what Art is trying to do. He is trying to steel man this guy. He is trying.
I understand. Right? I get it, but actually, I've come around to even without steel. Like, I'm actually okay with Art saying that because that is what I believe as well. People are afraid of death, and they look for something to hold on to.
To me, that would be an interpretation in my projection of my feelings on that interpretation. What is so powerful about what we're going to discuss tonight is that we don't have to believe anything.
Okay.
The evidence is there. There is an intelligent message encoded as the cells of life, and we can read it the way you read the text of a book or a newspaper. And for that to happen the way it has happened suggests strongly that we are part of something perhaps greater than we've ever imagined.
How long is the message?
The introduction into the cells of all life, it is a very brief message. And we can get into that message as early in this program as you'd like to.
Well, I'm dying to know, and everybody else is too. So how much have you actually found? Before you give it to me, how much have you actually found in there? You found this? Have you found more? Is there more yet to find? The introduction has been found, validated, and confirmed by the experts, and I'm comfortable sharing that. The deeper layers of the message, until we can validate precisely everything that's happening, I feel responsibility to have that all confirmed and validated before, and we're still working on it. We don't know. We simply don't know what all the deeper layers are saying to us. But I'd like to share early on, right now, the introduction into the cells of all life, from a single-cell amoeba to a blade of grass to the complexity of a human, at this topmost layer reads the same, and it literally reads as the words, God eternal within the body. God eternal within the body. And when we look at a strand of DNA...
Michael Lazarus made me laugh. Yeah, that's
the message?
That's the super great message.
What am I supposed to do with that? God eternal in the body. Well, your body is not eternal.
Buy more Ovaltine.
Why can't it be a helpful message?
But this is just the it's like Contact, Paul, right? When the first, it's just like a sequence of prime numbers to let you know, hey stupid, there's something here.
Right.
Pay attention. And now we're gonna start. Once you learn the deep codes, we're gonna get into the good shit.
You know what? I would actually be more impressed if in our DNA someone found a list of the prime numbers somehow.
Yeah. Yes, because that would be a thing that isn't based.
I would actually be more impressed than in whatever
the Fibonacci sequence or something like
that,
right?
Like
coded
then,
right?
In whatever language. What language was this in? Did he discover it? Like, I don't know what language.
Well, we'll have to. I guess we'll have to wait to hear his riveting methodology. It's as somebody who's transcended beyond science, I assume that he has careful notes.
I'm excited for the methodology section of the paper, as it were. Yes, that's great news.
Yeah,
we do have a super chat.
We do.
Brain Cramp.
Well, a member chat, technically.
Oh, member chat. Fun fact, that's where they got Sith Eternal from.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So
Also in our
Sith
DNA. But
was pure cult.
I feel like that's probably, midichlorians were fucking with stuff. Midichlorians were in there.
Hey, you want to see something funny?
That's right.
I'm gonna...
We're gonna write some messages. We're gonna write Sith Eternal in the DNA.
Yeah.
I wonder how much
I'm just gonna
DNA.
go ahead and tick off stating conjecture as established fact.
I also feel like if anyone has incorrect science, use the science.
Yeah.
That seems like one that could be checked off there.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not a great. We're not getting into a lot of the different topics.
Like you sort of mentioned tangentially all this stuff, but a lot of it isn't really coming up.
I didn't hear Egypt. If anyone has Egypt on their card, I think he did mention that.
Yeah,
I have Egypt on my card.
That's why I was excited that maybe we were getting some pyramid stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking of when he was talking about the libraries and stuff, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a kid, when I was a wee lad in the 80s, we had numerous video stores, right? There was close to where we lived. There was a place, Family Video. There were other ones, and they all had. And then eventually, it all became Blockbuster.
Right.
And I freaking hated Blockbuster because you'd go in and it was just like it's the wall. Here's like the top 40, like the new releases.
There's new releases, and
Family Video had literally thousands of tapes. Like you'd go in and
sure,
there's all these movies I've never heard of, stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s. They had like their big 10 movies for 10 days for $10. And when all that went away and all you got was like, hey, do you want to see Independence Day? We have 300 copies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I've seen Independence Day. I want to see something I haven't seen. They're like, yeah, we don't have that. Anyways, that's a better see, this is, and then it's so copying. That's what I'm saying. It was all just every Blockbuster was just a copy of the same, right? Like,
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, like you're right. Yeah. You could go from Blockbuster to Blockbuster in town, and they have the same basic
or to
inventory.
other towns, like any Blockbuster in any city in North America, and it's like it's the exact same movie. And you lost all of the cool shit that you used to be able to find going from one video store to another. So anyway, support independent cinema. That's what I'm trying to say.
Jay Victor sends a super chat.
Mm-hmm.
There is a secret code written in our DNA, and it reveals that humans run. Oh, fuck! I hate that episode so much. The Founders.
Somebody else already made a reference earlier to
the humans, Romulans, Vulcans, Klingons, and Kardashians are all related. Yes. Yeah.
I will for interesting. That episode of Star Trek did air quite a few years before this.
That's true.
This did, right? Because I was like in the 90s. I want to say. Yeah. So
I was actually thinking that this episode aired in 2005. So basically, the World Wide Web had been around for 10 years by the time this episode ran. So
yes.
At the topmost layer, we're literally looking at different combinations of those words of God within the body.
God eternal.
Within the body. It doesn't say who God is or where God came from, but one of the things that's so interesting.
But I'll tell you where he is, Paul. He's in the body.
This was before, I don't like God in my body without my consent.
Yeah, well, too bad.
Of God that's encoded into the cells is precisely the same name that we find in 2,200-year-old text, which is it is a Hebrew letter form, the Hebrew word Yah, or a version of Yahweh, is what we find. We can talk about this as we go through the program this evening. When we first did the translation.
Okay, all right. So I'm anticipating where he's going here. So the Hebrew equivalent of YHWH is Yahweh. In fact, if you read, like I've read some of Dr. Kip's formal papers, like meant for his peers, not meant for schlubs like us.
Right.
They don't actually say Yahweh. They will say YHWH in all capital letters.
Right.
I'm guessing now, I'm just anticipating that he's going to say, I'm going to go ahead and arbitrarily map YHWH on ACTG and then come up with something, that because I've arbitrarily assigned them
Yeah.
We're gonna get these messages. That's just a guess. I'm just making a guess.
I'm gonna say this YouTube window is getting a little busy. I have
It's an experiment. I think the experiment has failed, but that's all right.
I'm not too sure about today's experiment. This is yeah. Oh, don't apologize, Kip.
So we have a super chat from Jay
Yes.
Victor. Oh, did we? No, we already read that
We
one.
read that, but there is one from Melly.
Yep. Sorry, we got the Millie. If you read if you read the DNA backward, does it say the body is eternal in Satan? Yep, that's.
I mean, I don't want to be pedantic, but I feel like it would say God in eternal is body. So that's how backwards works. Melly.
It's done through a mathematic code. And
okay, wait, was this done in the same manner as the Bible code? In other words, every fifth something or sixth something?
No.
This was written straight out across numerical.
No,
First of
we just found what we wanted to. Yeah.
Also, I don't know if he's aware.
Uh-huh.
Famously, each person has different DNA. I don't know if that's,
I mean, not the God bits.
Oh, so, I mean.
Okay, so clearly he's talking about white people. So let's all just square that away, because we all know where we're gonna find God
In your body.
not in
sure.
You know who.
Mm-hmm.
So secondly,
probably also not ladies.
Yes. No, Paul. No. Thirdly, mostly me. Mostly my DNA.
Dave's DNA.
That's what we're finding. Yeah.
That's right. All right. But
Kip
so
David puts that Yahweh shit on everything, Paul. It's like Frank's Red Hot. I'm just replying to his chat.
Cross to exactly this?
Precisely.
Oh, well, that's amazing.
Well, it is amazing, and what's even more amazing is, although we use ancient biblical Hebrew as the first language, it also reads the same way in the Arabic language, and appears that it reads in Sanskrit.
That's almost impossible.
Explain that. I need that explained.
I would love to have some kind of, flesh that out.
We did it in Hebrew, and then we just also. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And then we just did it in Arabic, and it's exactly the same. Oh, I see. Word for word. Yes, it was word for word.
I would love. Man, I could have made so much money. Just being ahead of the curve of just being able to spout crazy ass bullshit.
Just whatever you want. Oh my gosh.
So, all right, hold on. As I'm sure you know, Greg, I get messages on a computer here as the show goes on. Yeah. And one of the very first things that people want to know about.
I also get messages on my computer as the show goes on.
Yeah. Yep. I
is whether your faith is coloring your discovery.
Well, it's a good question. I was raised in no single faith. I was given the opportunity. I was raised in a conservative community in the Midwest, in Missouri, and I had friends from many, many different faiths, and I spent a lot of time. I was just.
I don't believe you.
No, neither do I. By many faiths, do you mean Lutheran, Baptist,
That's right,
Pentecostal?
That's yeah. I've lived in a very conservative area of Missouri. Yeah, no, that's not.
Paul in his school even had a Catholic kid. So he pretty much got the full spectrum, the entire rainbow.
That's right.
The beautiful tapestry that is
that's right.
Man's interaction with the divine.
All the way from snowflake white through eggshell white.
Yes. Yeah.
I was comfortable in a Catholic church or a Jewish synagogue as I was in a mosque or anywhere else. So I've had the opportunity to experience many different traditions. And interestingly, when the book was released for review to theologians in many of those traditions, although the traditions are different from one another, the majority of them have felt that it supports their belief that we are part of a greater existence or greater intelligence.
All that said.
Okay, so
Mhm.
So what he said was, when people get information, what they do is they
Yeah.
figure out a way to work it in with what they already believe,
I
and then they
mean,
run with it, because that is
to be fair,
correct.
you don't even have to work it in.
No.
If you're saying it's like, well, what this book purports is that there is a divine intelligence that purposefully created us, and here's evidence to back that up. So, I mean, everybody who believes in a divine intelligence of any kind,
Yep.
be like, yeah, no,
Mhm.
that backs up what we're saying. So, yep.
So
Nailed it.
whatever your current faith is, Greg, are you certain that your faith has not affected your discovery?
Well, I do not subscribe to a single organized faith.
It doesn't matter.
Sure, and I don't consider myself a religious man, although I do consider myself a deeply spiritual man, in the sense that I believe that life is connected, and that we're more than a biological fluke in this world. And I think that spark.
Do you think that belief has influenced your thoughts?
Only,
But I'm not religious. Oh,
that's
okay.
right. Apparently, only religious beliefs can affect what you think.
Yeah.
All other beliefs are
Yeah.
benign.
Let me tell you something, Paul. I don't need the Pope telling me what I can publish in a paper. So everything else is fine. Yeah.
Look, I firmly believe that aliens are controlling all the world leaders in the world, but that's not a religious belief, Dave, so it doesn't color my thinking.
It doesn't color my thinking. Yeah.
Is what led me to search for this code to begin with. So I was looking for something that would tell us that we're greater than the differences that have separated us in the past. And
also, that's what all the great scientists do. What they want is, I'm looking for this conclusion.
Yeah.
What data can support me?
Yeah.
Although, I guess to be fair, he did mention earlier, scientists are stupid, and they can't learn the things that he knows. So.
And from that perspective, that template is what led me on that search.
All right. Did you find anything in there that, using the same code, didn't make sense?
Not yet. Not yet. I have not. It's interesting because the language, the way this language.
It actually spells out Homer's Odyssey if you read it.
Actually, yeah.
Nope. I took my YHWH letters, and every DNA sequence I go to.
I don't know from Yahweh, but let me tell you what I know about a billion chimps and a million typewriters. So if there's 50 trillion, book libraries, and each library has, I believe the scientific number is a gajillion, trillion, quad million
identical books
in a DNA. So then probably you're gonna find a really cracking recipe for lentil soup.
Yeah. Did any of them not make sense? Oh no, they are all recipes. Everything was a recipe, and it made.
I mean, yeah, most of it's not going to make sense, but this one here, yeah.
Our guest tonight assures us that it all made sense. He didn't come across a single thing that was incoherent.
Is set up. It's all about language. And we haven't even really talked about how this code works.
Well, let's talk about that. In other words, how precisely can DNA be read as text, as words?
Please.
How does it work?
Sure. Well, and I think by answering that question, it'll answer probably some of the other questions that I certainly would have if I were listening to this broadcast right now.
Okay.
It's interesting that Western science today, when we define life, we do it using elements from a periodic table.
We do not.
We call things like hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon.
No.
And we use words to define those. And for each of those elements, we can also describe them with numbers. We've got all.
I was afraid he was actually going to go for a second. I was afraid he was going to go with like fire, water, earth, and.
Yes. But here's the real. Yeah.
At least he didn't do that.
Kinds of numbers, atomic weight, atomic mass, all kinds of things.
Sure.
That we can use. It appears that ancient traditions did precisely the same thing 5,000 years ago. They described our world through words, and they had very precise numbers linked to the letters of the alphabets in the words. What has happened is over 5,000 years, the words
Oh my
changed,
God.
but the numbers never changed.
Right.
So this research.
Is he like gonna try and tell me that, the Greeks,
Mm-hmm.
alpha, that was the same as 1.
I mean,
And
I
beta,
guess.
that was the same as 2. So that never changed. So therefore something.
Or something. Like, I'm kind of trying to be like, I'm gonna let this guy make a point,
All right,
maybe
well,
eventually.
I'll let
Then
him. He's
but
making me angry.
increasingly I feel like there isn't going to be one. This is Stargates all over again, Paul.
Yeah, that's right. He is refusing to answer how the methodology of how we read words out of DNA.
Project. When I began looking into these ancient texts and into traditions from many different parts of the world, it was an opportunity for me to follow their beliefs and see how they correlate to Western science, which in fact they do. So all we're doing is we're looking at the way Western science describes life with words and numbers. Ancient traditions describe life with word and number. The words changed, the numbers didn't. We're looking for numbers of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, the stuff that DNA is made out of.
Right.
And we're looking for their equivalent.
Okay. No.
Oh my God, this is better than I could have dreamed. Oh, it's so good.
Well, you see,
This is
Dave, the
so
atomic
good.
number of nitrogen is
Not
whatever it is.
Oh, it's like 13 or so. I don't remember.
Yeah.
No,
So
carbon's 14, I don't remember.
therefore,
No, it gets better, Paul. It's not that. It's the same number. It's that there's a number.
Did you know?
Using words and numbers, just like Western science uses words and numbers.
I studied around the world. Every culture I went to, every one of them had something to describe the number 5. Dave, can you believe this? Every single culture I went to had a number 5.
I've always felt that one of the real, flaws in Eastern science is the lack of words and or numbers, like us Western scientists use.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't speak Eastern, so I'm not actually sure which of those they don't use, but they don't use one of them.
Yeah,
that
is what prevented the Viking from having germ theory. Was their lack of words and numbers.
I can't breathe.
In the alphabets of ancient languages, and what are called the core or the root alphabets, such as Biblical Hebrew, ancient Arabic, Sanskrit, alphabets like that.
So help us out here a little bit. Those of us who don't quite get all this yet. How do you read a DNA strand as words? It has something to do with numbers.
Thank you, Art.
I've got that.
Well, before we even get that far, I'm just going to make a statement. A lot of our live audiences are surprised by this next statement, and I had to research it pretty extensively when I was writing the book. All languages, I have yet to find a single language that does not fall into the category that we're about to describe here. All languages, ancient and modern, have always had mystical numbers linked to every letter of every alphabet. The numbers are precise.
What about?
I'm gonna let him finish. Let him finish. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm wondering. Hopefully, he'll say it. So not every language has had letters and numbers.
Well, okay. I'm gonna let him finish the point.
All right.
They're mysterious. Some of them are 5,000 years old. They never change. We're not even sure where they came from. What we're beginning to understand them.
Famously, Dave, language never changes. About a language is written down, and then everyone's like, "What's gay gonna mean? What's gonna mean happy?" Forever.
Is that those numbers do in fact have a basis in what today we're calling the science of chemistry?
That's a big, broad statement. How do you prove it?
Well, which statement?
Well, that all languages.
Sure, they're documented. That's how I have yet to see from cuneiform.
Okay, this is what Would it? Okay, no. Every language in the history of the human. So I'll give them the benefit of every written language
But
has.
not even that, but okay. Every character, let's say every character-based
Well,
language.
every has mystic numbers associated with certain letters of their alphabet.
With each letter, not just some of them. Each letter has a mystic number.
What are the ones in English? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 26? Is there
Yeah.
like
Yes, apparently. And
are these the mystic numbers? They're just the numbers.
yes, Dave, because
Feel like he means, but
21, for example, is blackjack.
I hope he means something better than just that. There's some kind of significant number or something, but then it's like then it's complete bullshit because there is no number that's associated that every language has. You know what I mean? Like I guess one every language if you want. It's anyway. He's making
Well,
me
no,
angry.
actually, no. You're so. I think if where you're going was like, let's say we say that 7 is a number of perfection. Like sometimes I hear that, right? Well, 7's but is that been across every culture?
No,
It's not.
There are every. I would agree that probably certainly every. I'm not a sociologist or anthropologist, but it's like I'm willing to grant that every culture has significant numbers of some kind.
Yes,
right?
I would grant that as well.
European, there's like 13, 7, 6, 666, right? Like, there's a whole bunch in Eastern and like various like every culture has like, oh yeah, this is the lucky number. This is a thing, whether it's 3s or 5s or 10s or they're not all the same. There's no
they're
number
not. No,
that is that is significant in every culture through, especially not through all of human history. Like,
well, that's where I was trying to get to. Yeah, like we don't have this. It's not like we all decided upon that
obviously
13 was
42. We all know
yes,
that.
42. Well,
that aside,
that's right.
That's just science.
Super chat from Sonic Shroom. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate.
Thank you.
Does he think humans are only 5,000 years old? No, I think what he's saying is language is 5,000 years old.
I mean,
language is only 5,000 years old. Actually, well, no, even written language is way older than that. So I don't know. Carbon dating is bullshit, as you know.
Yeah, but he's a computer scientist. He doesn't know.
He's a computer scientist.
He's a computer scientist and amateur geneticist.
As far as he knows, the oldest language is Fortran.
The Egyptian hieroglyphs, to Phoenician, to Hebrew and Greek and Latin, even English. I have yet to see.
I love how every example is like right in the Mediterranean. This is
yeah.
I mean, you've got Greek. There's Latin.
That's right.
Phoenician, Egyptian, Numidian. There's
well, did I say Greek?
Did I say Greek already? Macedonian, which technically isn't Greek, but it's pretty much Greek. But
are books that document, people have spent entire lifetimes researching and documenting these mystical or hidden number equivalents for the ancient alphabets. There is a book, a couple of books out there. One is entitled The Eastern Mysteries, and another one, The Western Mysteries, by a gentleman, David Allen.
Yeah.
That's
Nobody
right.
has to pay to play. Come hang out with us. We just love having you here.
We love the hangout.
That has documented a number of these, as well as others. There are other books out there. So this tradition was very openly acknowledged and used prior to the advent of Western science about 400 years ago. And in the West, we began to negate those numeric values. In the West, people didn't know their cultures and other traditions.
Right? Are you telling me that when Chaucer was being written,
I would love for this man to just throw out one of these numbers. Just give me 2 or 3 numbers that you're talking about. Yeah. Because I swear on the dear sweet baby Jesus in his crib, if he says it's 1, 2, 3, 4, Paul, I'm gonna lose it. I don't know if this gentleman is around, but if he is, I'm gonna find him and slap him because no. Okay.
They still use them very actively today. And there are rules, very precise rules. In the 2nd century AD, there was a list of 32 rules that describe precisely how these numbers may be used so that they're not haphazard, so that there is a precision.
Citation fucking
rules?
needed.
Where are these rules? I mean, I believe you that these 32 rules exist somewhere in some language, in some culture. Is there, like, are you talking about 2nd century, magicians? Are these demon
Right?
summoners who are trying to draw the Metatron out and get, like, what are you talking about? Because I'm pretty sure they weren't using them in Madagascar.
Nope.
Throwing that out there, but I guess they must have been, because every culture, Paul, every culture and language has these special numbers in the rules for them.
When I was, taking humanities stuff in school,
Yeah.
I recall there being significant debate over what
Mhm.
some of the numerical symbolism was. How did we all just miss that someone in the 2nd century BC just made a chart?
Well,
Why are modern scientists debating?
how did us Western scientists? Because we were relying on science, Paul, and not looking at the truth beyond science.
Famously, the classicists rely on science.
Yes.
That is what yeah.
Trick one,
Mhm.
instead of doing a bunch of research and experiments, just do a bunch of DMT. And then the truths of the languages and the numbers with them will be revealed. Universal truths. God is in the body eternal. Or is God eternal in the
right.
body? Which one is it? I don't even remember.
What am I supposed to do with that? Like, if I got that in a fortune cookie, like what? What?
Well, then buy a lottery ticket.
There's a science to using the numbers in ancient alphabets.
And that comes from what text?
It is called the 32 rabbinical rules of the science that we're speaking about is called gematria, Gematria, or gematria, or gematria, depending on what part of the world you're studying it from.
Okay.
So, and we document this in the book. It's on the website as well. So I'm saying this so that we know that the use of numbers and letters interchangeably is nothing.
Is that a thing you've heard of?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. So this is Kabbalah stuff. This is like traditional numerology. It's spelled Gematria. So when he's talking about
it auto-corrected that for me.
Truth, he specifically is talking about Hebrew. This is all about Hebrew. And this is we're getting into, okay. I get where this guy is coming from now. This is not new. None of these ideas are new. He's thrown out here. Yeah.
Is this the right thing?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's numerology. It's like it's yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we have the God code.
Yeah. Like, are you familiar, Paul, with Kabbalah?
No.
So
just Kabbalah Dala in the context of killer bunnies.
So that is like the traditional. Yes, there are numbers associated with Hebrew characters, and by combining certain numbers and I don't really get how it works, but I know it's like, so you can basically do spells, like this is magic.
Okay.
Like,
but real magic for the people playing at home?
Yes,
All
right. It's how you can like have charms and things to, for health or whatever. It's the same kind of stuff you see like in pendants or whatever, right? Like, but absolutely, this is the tradition the Bible code grew out of.
Okay.
Right. So like this is much older numerology. So the idea, it's like there's like, I'm trying to get it. Remember, it's there's like this language of angels and kind of thing, and it's all based on, you take there's numbers associated with Hebrew characters, and you take parts of the Bible, and you go and you can. It gets complicated and dumb, and like all numerology, a lot of it's like, well, if you believe there's a pattern here and look for it, like you'll find the pattern that you want if you kind of just fudge it enough. But there's kind of this codified system. So when he keeps throwing out universal and stuff, but if he's talking about gematria and this, he's talking about Hebrew. He's talking about the Old Testament. Yeah, the Torah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he assured me that it's translated across all language, but we'll see.
Yeah, he certainly has said that.
Mhm. We'll
yeah.
see.
New. It's been used by many traditions, much of the world, for much of our history.
Grant,
The
okay.
last 400 years, we've stopped using it.
Granted, I mean, I agree with you. Certainly, that's true. So
it's with that in mind when we go back and we're looking at the way ancient traditions, specifically traditions such as the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the mystical aspect of the Hebrew Kabbalah, the way it describes the creation of our world and the universe and life, using these letter-number combinations, and then other traditions doing the same thing. It's in looking at the links between those letters and those numbers and being able to link those numbers into the periodic table of elements as we describe them today.
all right, this message that you've deciphered again, God eternal within the body.
Mm-hmm.
We, of course, cannot know if that was placed there by...
Does he think that each of the it's a nucleotide, right? Each DNA is nucleic. It's a nucleic acid. Yeah. Does he think each one of those is represented on the periodic table? Because it's fucking not.
I mean, he did sort of say, before, it's like the elements that make it up: carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, right? I am pretty sure that pretty much all of the elements that make up
Well, obviously,
organic matter, organic chemistry, right? They're all going to fall within the first 20.
Oh yeah. We don't have any
right?
heavy elements in our.
Yeah. So like
No.
you actually probably could do something, like if you really got into it, you probably could do something like this.
But I'm just saying that I forget what the ACTG stands for. I want to say guanine, or I forget what it is. It's probably not right. That's not. What's that?
I said Apple, Tango, Golf.
Charlie Foxtrot, yeah.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Whiskey Tango. Anyway, we'll hear him out, I guess.
God, or by our creators, who could be separate but still referencing some greater power.
Precisely, Art. And this is what's so important. We don't know who God is. It doesn't tell us who God is, where God came from.
So super helpful. Thank you for clearing that up there, DNA.
Let me tell you what I do know, Paul. He's in the body.
In the body eternally, even though my body will not last eternally.
Well, so maybe is there somewhere an eternal body, and that's what God's in?
Hey, look, I was kind of close. That's what I'm saying is the body that I have with the DNA isn't the eternal one. Maybe I will have an eternal body sometime so that Satan can poke it with holes and burn it. But that's not the one we have.
Well, but this is what I'm saying. So this message, it's not talking about your body. It's saying that somewhere there is an eternal body.
But in my body, we left a message saying, "See other body."
Yeah, if you want to find God, find the eternal body.
It's like a footnote.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a helpful tip. It's like pointing the star to where the aliens are storing their bioweapons, and for some reason they want you to know about this weapon depot, so they make a star map on a cave, even though they were there long before any kind of intelligent life evolved, because their DNA seeded us. But then also somehow cave paintings point the way to their weapons depot.
I doubted myself, Dave. I was actually.
But Prometheus is a perfectly good movie with no plot holes whatsoever.
Which one? What? Who?
Prometheus. I was making fun of Prometheus.
Oh, yeah. That's. I inadvertently saw the pitch meeting for Prometheus this week.
Yeah.
And it's an old video, obviously. But yeah, it was like, wait, don't they have? Didn't we establish that they have very precise mapping technology? Oh yes, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, we did.
Yes.
But they got lost. Yeah, they didn't know where they were. They couldn't get back. Okay.
Yeah. Timothy Harmon's good. He keeps saying precisely. I'm not sure that means what he thinks it means. Yeah.
Very least, what this message says to us, at the very least, it says.
Waited too long. Got the click effect. So
if we wait too long, if we talk too much,
how far are we into the show? By the way,
I don't even know. 2.5 hours.
Okay, so we'll let people in the chat kind of figure this out. So this is a multi-hour show, and at some point he switches to callers. So whenever, if we, I would offer it up as the host. I would offer up that if we feel like, at a certain point we would like to hear what the general public has to say.
Right.
Once we feel like, now the trouble is, Dave, the title of the show was this God Code, but also Prehistoric
Nukes.
What was it? Prehistoric Nukes.
Yeah.
When is that going to come into?
Do you know who had prehistoric nukes, Paul?
Dinosaurs?
Atlantis. Just clicking that off.
Oh, Atlantis. Yeah. No, you can't check it off yet.
I did.
No, it's not.
He
no,
clearly
no,
meant it.
He has not. No, because
who
that's.
do you think invented this universal DNA language?
Well, do Atlanteans even
likely.
share? Do Atlanteans even share our DNA? I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to say, but you know who does know? Jesus.
I don't. You can't be checking. No, Art has to say these things.
You're such a jerk. Why don't you
Art has to say these things? Okay, so we are. No, we don't need to jump to callers yet. We got some more explaining.
I keep hoping that he will in some way actually explain something, but I feel like I'm going to be just blue balled, just left.
That's right.
Yeah, he's gonna tease me.
A lot of tease. Yep.
That we're here on purpose. There's an intention.
Oh right, I was supposed to fix the clickies.
Yeah. Damn it, Paul. You had 12 jobs.
All right.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'm winning bingo tonight. I'll tell you that much.
Did you?
No.
Not say excuse me?
Excuse me? What? What are you talking about?
I thought I heard a little bit of a burpee from you, but maybe not.
Oh, no. I mean, if it did, I don't even know, but yeah.
Oh, shoot. Why is this not playing here? Try again. Thank you. Come again. Running like clockwork. We're the only thing on YouTube right now.
Luckily we're the only thing on YouTube. So
you know, in the craters of the moon, and it also reads God within the body.
Oh, you've confirmed that.
No, I'm saying if we do.
What?
If we
if we did,
then it suggests that we have a common heritage. And number 3,
that was going to be a citation needed. That the same message was spelled out in craters on the moon.
I'm just saying, wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah, it would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah, neat.
Be a lot cooler if it was.
Because we find this message in even the simplest forms of life, and in the most ancient forms, it suggests.
You know what? I'm feeling generous. Yeah, if you got structures on the moon, I feel like he's just said that we're spelling out messages on the moon, so go for it.
Yeah. Why not? There you go. It's as close as we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
That the intelligence responsible preceded those forms of life.
Wait, Dave?
I'm curious, Greg, if we get to Mars.
I literally have on my card, I got Bible code, and I've just been sitting here like a dummy, not checking that off.
We're checking it off. Yeah, they've only said it about 48 times.
Said Bible code 40 times. So what I need Knights Templar. That's not looking good. Structure. I just got structures of the moon. Ark of the Covenant's possible. I think Knights Templar is going to be tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have both of those also, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope.
and we get a sample and we read it, and it's not in there, what would that say to you?
Well, it depends if it says something else. If the code works the same, and if the message reads differently, what it would suggest is that maybe we don't share that common heritage. It's almost like if you were to come to this world, Art, from another world, and you wanted to find out who these Earth people or what this Earth life is all about,
Yes.
and you didn't want to disturb them to do it. If you could look into the introduction into the cells of all life, and you could read God eternal within the body, and you say, oh, well, that's the way our DNA reads, then it says that we do, in fact, share a common heritage.
Because that would mean
Yeah.
that your DNA is actually much the same.
That's right.
Same numerical whatever pattern code. So
Oddly, that's kind of how we determine it now, only without
Yeah.
looking for secret messages.
So I mean, yeah, if we went to Andromeda or Proxima
Yep.
Centauri, or whatever, and we looked at the DNA of whatever is there,
Yep.
if we found something living that had DNA similar to ours, we'd be like, holy shit, that's pretty crazy. And then if we looked at it, like, wow, the preface, Paul, to the
preface.
DNA is the same as ours. I mean, well, that stretches credulity that could happen by coincidence. Wouldn't you agree that?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're, as the scientists say, hey, there's a range, but it's like we're either 92 to 96% the same as chimps, and that was unconvincing. But what if I told you that, there was a line from the Denny's menu that was the same in both of our DNAs. So oh, well, now you got something. Now that's, you got a Yelp review in there. Good job.
I wish, but
I
probably
wish.
not.
Scotty Orange, $5 super chat. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate you. Is this guy eventually leading up to unveiling a new monster movie where the monster scrambles up your DNA? Mr. DNA, insert rawr sounds. Dino DNA.
You're terrible at following stage direction.
I am.
Insert RAR sounds. Exit stage left. There you go.
That's why my acting career is on the shriveled up.
I
on
am
the
waiting
vine.
for the bus. Exit stage left.
Just standing there in the middle of the stage like a moron. Exit stage left. So I'm just still standing there, blinking.
Everybody stares at you, unsure what to do now. As the entire production screeches to a halt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
End up finding
I'd watch that play.
some sort of microorganism in another world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't read the same, or the code's different. We'll have to see what that code says to know precisely.
Fascinating. But again, you're telling me that this message, God eternal within the body, was sequenced one after the other. It wasn't every fourth or fifth pick, but it was sequenced all together in convertible numbers to words.
Precisely. When we speak about human DNA, or the DNA of what's called carbon-based life, that is, life is we typically recognize it here.
What's Paul? What's what the plebeians call carbon-based life?
This is
like
sort
another
of,
one, xylophone. Yeah.
This feels like a stall tactic, like somebody just is trying desperately not to get to the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Today, it is made of four DNA bases that are represented by those letters.
Oh, here we go.
See in all the science fiction movies, C, T, A, and G.
Right.
All those different. There was even a movie that came out a few years ago called Gattaca, Gattaca.
Love that movie, actually.
Good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie.
That movie inadvertently named my son, one of my sons, but that's all right.
Genetic sequence of someone in our future. Those bases that make up all life, it is a combination. Those bases are literally made of the words God within the body, God eternal within the body. So as we are looking.
Okay, that you didn't give me a translation matrix. No, you didn't. No.
It's literally made of that. Okay.
It's made of ATCG ... God eternal in the body.
Down, Paul.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
At the way that DNA is sequenced, we're looking. It's not that the message is hidden in the DNA. It's that the DNA literally is the message. We are made of these different sequences of God within the body at this uppermost level.
Well, if
Explain it.
if the pattern is that apparent that when you sat and looked at the DNA, you said, "My God, there is I see a pattern."
Right.
And then you went from there to where you are now to having deciphered this message, and it's in every cell virtually.
Precisely.
Then why has somebody
Virtually.
else not?
Well, you know, the gametes, they're only half the message.
I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until this moment, at least. Why?
It's different in your sperm. It's a whole different message. It's just like says, you know, it says forever horny for whatever reason. I don't know why.
This is where we keep all the awesome parts. Everything else. Yeah.
Has not somebody else come up with it?
You know, I think Paul Davies, the astrobiologist from Sydney, may have said this.
Astrobiologist.
What he's saying is he suggested to a mainstream scientific audience in 2004 that within our DNA would be the perfect place to look for a message from another world or something from our past.
Yes, it would be,
He said it would only be when our technology reached the point where we could recognize and translate the message that we could get it.
Same thing they said about the Bible code.
It is. However, and I agree with that to some extent. However, I think the biggest stumbling block.
The Bible actually, coincidentally, would have been a good place to just put straightforward messages. That also would have been nice.
I mean, you know, maybe try being nice to each other. That's why. What if instead you were just kind of nice to each other?
I don't know, but we have to be very clear about the rules about shellfish. So I don't know if we're gonna have space. We also have to make sure that this guy can, you know, in Hebrew and Aramaic and all of the other languages, when you look at it, it's going to say meaningless phrases.
Going forward, Paul.
Yes, Dave.
I want to make it very clear that you and I are the astro hosts of an astro stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the new quantum.
It's the new...
All right, so let me see. What in the hell is an astrobiologist?
I presume somebody that studies.
So astrobiology is a scientific field. I don't know. I don't agree with that right away.
Yeah.
Within the life and environmental studies that studies the origins, evolution, distribution, and future of life in the universe.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So alchemy.
Okay, that's nothing.
They're alchemists.
They're alchemists.
Yep. Just because nobody's turned lead into gold yet doesn't mean. Yeah.
Is not the technology. It's been around for a while. It's our beliefs, our belief systems. And I think the answer to your question is why we didn't see this before. It's our beliefs. The only way, the experts that I worked with.
Okay, like we probably didn't see it before because we really didn't have the ability to sequence DNA until, 5 years before.
Yes, this is actually one of those messages that is, you know that you're deliberately skipping thousands of years worth of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this is going to be very important later on that we say eternal God in the body, God eternal in the body.
To be fair, Paul, if this was that is actually, were there some irrefutable or strongly suggested evidence of some sort of clearly designed or a la Star Trek The Chase, right, where it's like, well, there actually pretty clearly is something placed, some deliberate message or pattern to be found in DNA that we couldn't possibly have discovered until we had the ability to sequence DNA. Well, then you'd be like, oh, well, that actually is very strong evidence that there was some sort of intelligent design behind. Not that this guy did, but if you could, right? That's the whole, like, okay, so you've been like, all right, well, should we ever get the technology to do this? And there's a message where, it's like, stop looking at DNA, stupid. I don't know.
This is my problem actually is less with the methodology, even though heaven help us on the methodology. but also like that message is just not helpful.
Yeah.
God eternal. So was that your argument that God eternal in the body is a worthwhile message?
No, I'm saying that in the hypothetical situation that like let's say the message I discovered was, hey, David, use these lotto numbers or something where it's like, okay, well, this
Yeah.
is right, like where I'm like,
Okay,
there's
so
a
this
clearly,
is
or it's like, hey, by the way, here's the cure for cancer, or
sure.
like something like that, right? Where it's like there's something encoded in that if you, or like you said, oh, there's clearly like prime numbers. If
Yeah.
you go from like this to this, it's like there's a prime number sequence that is very clear, where or something like that. That it's like this is an irrefutable pattern, that it's like the odds of this being random or happenstance is astronomically small. And we see this same pattern even in human DNA, in octopus DNA, which has so many more genomes, in things like
Mhm.
the same thing. And it's like, wow, there really is obvious, like that's you, maybe you stop and look like, wow, okay, in the opposite of the, it's on you to sort of prove it. It's like, okay, well, it's very hard to explain this by any sort of like natural phenomenon, where it's like, this is a little insane. Like the level of, if you looked in and been like, okay, somebody clearly did leave this deliberately.
Well, this
Or
is the
somebody
thing.
was talking about
I don't object to
it.
this notion. I think I do agree, actually, honestly, that would be a great way for a creator
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to sign, like to have there's a digital or a DNA signature, right, of a creator. Great. What I'm a little bit underwhelmed with is the message that he's
Yeah.
discovered.
This is that's exactly, yeah.
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 Yeah. It's like, oh,
But
that's cool.
Paul,
Yes,
there's the
Dave.
deeper codes. The deeper codes he's not at liberty to
Oh, the
divulge
deeper
at this
codes.
particular time. But in a few years, when he does divulge the deeper codes, man, then you're gonna see.
Sonic Shroom Super Chat
Yeah.
asks, does that apply to plants with no body? I know plants have bodies, don't they?
I mean, I don't know any plants, so
I mean, when you eat like a carrot, I know. Okay, well, let's hypothetically you ate a carrot.
right. But what about like an orchid, which is just like a parasitic flower that grows on other
But that's
plants?
still a body, is it not?
I mean, is it?
And you if you can buy it at a flower store, that's a body, right? Like that's a dead orchid body that you're presenting.
I'm going to
to
tell
your
you right now,
mate.
you can get 1, 2, or 4, but if you get 3 bodies, that's a problem.
Fair enough.
I saw a documentary about it.
That's right on Netflix, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In genetics and microbiology and linguistics, all of them said the same thing to me, Art. They said no one ever told us that we could link alphabets in biology together. So we've never done it. And I think that has been the biggest stumbling block. It's the way we have compartmentalized and separated our world into these little building blocks that we call chemistry and biology and geology so we can study them. Now we've isolated them to the point where we don't see how they're related to one another, and that's changing.
Okay, coming back to the message, God eternal within the body. Could it read Buddha eternal within the body? Could it read, you get the idea.
Sure. What it says, the way the letters come across, literally translates in. First we translate the chemistry into numbers.
Well, you said Joshua. That's specific.
It is. It's very precise. We translate chemistry into numbers. So hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, there is one number on the atomic table that links all of those together into the ancient alphabets, and it's what we call atomic mass. So we'll just step through this step by step. If we convert the elements of life, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, into atomic mass numbers,
yes.
and then we take those numbers and we apply the ancient rules of gematria, allowing us to convert those numbers into the digits. So hydrogen becomes a 1, nitrogen becomes a 5, oxygen becomes a 6, carbon becomes a 3. Then we literally go to the tables of the ancient alphabets.
Why would carbon be a 3? Carbon's like 14.
Yeah, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but
He may. So he's on a live show, and he's.
he might have just screwed up. That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, I might be.
We'll give him that. The principles. He's attempting to demonstrate a principle, which
this
fair
is
enough.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah.
We've been on him all night for not giving us the methodology. This is the methodology.
And now
Heaven help him.
exactly.
But the trouble is, if he doesn't tell me how to translate the ATCG, because those are not, of course, elements on the table.
Well, but okay, so Paul, but to step back, I mean, those are in a very real way arbitrary names described by, it's like.
But they're not arbitrary molecules.
No. So if he's saying actually use the atomic weight, which is like, so that, like you said, this is prime number. Like this is like, okay, so like this is a hard coded physical reality number. Like this is what the atomic weight of oxygen is. It's not going to change. Doesn't matter what language you speak, whatever, anything, it's this number. And if you can take that number and in some, I mean, now we're applying. Yeah. But I actually have more respect for that. If you're using the atomic weight of molecule or of atoms.
Right.
Versus,
but the trouble is, like, acetone is a molecule, right? Like,
yeah. But so far, everything he said, this is stuff we're saying. He's saying carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. So like, I'm curious where he's getting the specific numbers, but like I'm with him so far. It's like, okay, you have atoms, you have their atomic weight, you assign a letter based on that weight, based on Kabbalah, gematria. Okay. How do you then combine that into a DNA? Because there's many atoms make up, DNA. What numbers are you pulling here?
Well, okay, but so the molar mass.
We haven't let him get through his explanation yet. He's saying right now, take the atomic weight of an atom, and then you can, using the rules of gematria, using numerology, classic numerology, you can assign a letter based on that number, which that follows classic numerology. So I'm with him so far.
I'm just saying, like,
there's a disconnect between that and DNA, but he might. We're cutting him
we
off.
need a conversion chart. We need the Rosetta Stone here for whatever is
so
happening.
Let's let him keep going.
Because, acetone again is, CH3, COCH3. Like what's the.
Yeah. So like, how do you.
That sounds like, that looks like a very big number to me. That's going to be a big number that doesn't correspond to a letter in the alphabet. But
no.
Match those numbers with the letters in the ancient alphabets. Mm-hmm. And the only letters that they will match with are the letters that end up spelling out God within the body. So it appears to be very intentional. The letters could have spelled out other words. They could.
Okay. He's... So he just super fell apart right there.
You were on his team until then, right? And then
I was like, I was willing. I'm trying.
Yeah, you were trying to.
One of us has to be cheering for the away team. Nothing, and it's like, come on, I'm giving you a chance, man. Who's this dink's name again? I don't even remember.
I don't. I forgot his name as well, so that's not helpful.
I'm gonna say Jacob Cook. I was on your team, Jacob Cook, until you threw out these just. Oh, yeah. Maybe it gets better. I'm gonna let him go.
Well, first we got a super chat from Sonic Shroom. Thank you for the super chat. Carbon equals 6, hydrogen equals 1, nitrogen equals 7.
Yeah.
So you with your big 14 business, that was,
my 14 business. I was off. I was way off. I knew it wasn't 3. I knew that much.
Yeah. Fair enough. We know what was wrong.
Have spelled out something like blue sky, tomorrow or something like that really didn't make any sense. But the fact that the letters spell words, number one, and the fact that the words put together have context and meaning adds even greater significance to statistically 0.00042% chance.
But I guess I was saying, if it was Yeshua, then it really couldn't be Buddha, could it? Or if it could, how?
Well, it could. From this perspective, it couldn't. And
there you are. It couldn't. Thank you.
In the translations, I want to be very clear about this. When we're translating into the alphabets precede the tradition. So the alphabet, the Hebrew language, for example, the ancient Hebrew letters
So-
precedes.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is what is he translating? Where is he getting these? Like, I get it. He's like, okay, atomic mass, these are the atoms that make up DNA, and I've assigned a Hebrew letter to each one based on their atomic weight, and it spells this out. It's like, how does it spell this out? Where are you getting this from? Like,
Yep.
you're just randomly picking these letters and being like, well, I could combine these letters to be this message, and it's worse than the Bible code or like he just randomly is like, you can spell these letters can be put together to form these words.
But here's the thing: he has to
Yeah.
pick only 4 letters. Like if you're going to be consistent with this, you need to say ACTG
Well,
corresponds to.
but that I think, Paul, is the disconnect. He is not. He is talking specifically about the periodic elements that make up DNA, not the pairs.
But fair enough. But even the periodic, there's only 4 combinations of periodic elements.
Well, but there are more than 4 periodic elements in DNA.
Oh, I see. So you're trying to say, so if the sequence is AACT,
Not even. You're again, you just got to forget. So it's like, okay, so these are the elements that make up the organic chemistry molecules, DNA. It's like there's carbon, there's a shit ton of carbon, there's oxygen, there's
hydrogen,
nitrogen, there's
and
hydrogen,
oxygen. Yeah.
you know, there's, I don't even know what else would possibly be in DNA, but it's like there's probably trace amounts of other things. Whatever. That he's saying it's just those, just that. Like the periodic numbers of these atoms, forget anything about the actual. It's like you can just take these specific
I
elements.
understand, but all I'm saying is there's actually only 4 combinations, even though, of those. Even if you say that within acetone that there is whenever you have an A, it's always, even if it's a string of like 6 chemicals, it's always the same order, and it's always the same.
But it doesn't matter what order they're in. What matters is that those letters exist, and you can combine the letters into this word.
I'm just saying he can't possibly get up to 26. Like there's only so many letters he can use.
See, I feel like the argument he's making is that these are the letters that exist, and you can combine these letters into this word. And his word, this is the only possible combination of these letters that makes sense.
I guess I'm wanting to know how many letters he thinks he has.
Yeah, that is a good question. And there doesn't seem to be any correlation between the combinations he's making and actual DNA.
Right.
He's just taking these letters and being like, well, you can spell this word out of these specific letters. Right?
Scotty Orange writes,
yeah,
if Mr. DNA is the villain, I'm assuming, is this Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park?
No, we talked about, remember when you read the stage direction out loud and screwed it up?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there was the Mr. DNA villain. Yeah.
I thought we were talking about Jurassic Park for a second there. Okay. Is the villain. Who is the doctor in a Hyde Jekyll scenario?
So if Mr. DNA is the villain, who is the doctor? Who's the
Well, it's obviously Dr. Godcode.
There you go. Yeah,
It's Mr. DNA and Dr. Godcode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That when Dr. Godcode,
they are sides of the same coin. They are the same thing, and yet one is you perceive them completely differently.
Yeah, when Dr. Godcode
Mm-hmm.
drinks a large beaker of reality, he turns into Mr. DNA. It's just madness and chaos, and it's just all of our carefully laid plans are laid to waste.
Tradition. If we're going in, those of our listeners who are familiar with the text of the Kabbalah, there are 3 key books that make up what we call the Kabbalah today. Two of them are very common, have been translated into English frequently, the Midrash and the Zohar. The third book is so mystical, many scholars say don't even bother with it. It's too mystical to even make sense.
Okay, well, there's a question here that I was supposed to ask you,
Oh, sure.
which is, what does the message in ourselves mean to us collectively? Well, here's where I see a stumbling block. If it really says Yahshua, it may not mean anything to us collectively.
Well, this is why I'm saying that the message and the alphabets precede the tradition. This says, it says that the
because he said collective. That's all I need.
name of God
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
that's encoded into the cells of life is spelled as YAH, which is a form of YHVH or Yahweh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, is it?
Yahweh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. Yeah.
The Hebrew tradition, however, the same name, you find YH. We've done some studies with this. It's common across the Native American traditions.
Why?
It's common.
Paul, it's common in the, oh my God. Okay. Why would you go to lengths at the start of your interview to talk about how this is universal in all languages, all cultures, all written forms of communication throughout human history, and then go on to be like, well, what we're talking about is Hebrew and the Kabbalah. And it's like,
Right.
oh, okay. So actually, this has nothing to do with most of the written traditions
No.
in human history. So this could not apply to the vast majority of languages throughout all of human knowledge.
Exactly.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Just start by saying like this is the Kabbalah. Just be like that's that. It's been around for hundreds of years. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
In the traditions of the Aboriginals, you find it running in the sound Yah as a sacred sound. In the Buddhist and the Hindu traditions, it appears to be almost a universal sound or a universal name. Collectively,
does it appear to be a universal, almost a universal sound? Yeah.
It's almost like phonetically all humans are capable of making the sound Yah.
And it's sacred, pretty much universally, Paul.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree with that.
Everyone in English, it's like whenever you say Yah to someone, it's like, hey, Dave, you want to go to the strip club? Yah.
Yeah. What I actually mean is God.
What it says to us, it doesn't say who God is or where God came from. Collectively, it tells us we're here on purpose. We have to be, number one. Number two, it says we're part of one another in all life that shares that name, even though we don't know.
That's wow. There's no leap there. That's just. I feel at this, even somebody who is like legitimately into the Kabbalah numerology would be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? This is like, as you and I have commented, the odd time you will get somebody on who's like, well, this is all Christian faiths believe this, and you and I are both like, as somebody who was raised,
That's right.
like, I can tell you that in the church I grew up in, and every church I know of growing up, it would be like, no, this is you're the devil. That's absolutely not what we believe one at all. That's nothing. You're crazy. That's a crazy person's beliefs. Yeah.
Who or what that name means to us right now. And my sense is, as we go deeper into the code, if we had this conversation 6 months from now, I think the rest of the code is going to tell us more about who or what.
Spoiler alert.
Fucking couldn't tell us what. Yeah.
6 months from now, you have not solved this problem.
No, you have not had amazing deeper
by Christmas 2005, we didn't have this all figured out.
Yeah.
God within the body really means to us.
As a matter of interest, how much code remains undecoded?
Well, this is what's interesting, Art, because right now, while we don't know what the deeper layers say to us, I can tell you where the sentences begin and end, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of letters between the beginning and the end of the sentences.
So, in other words, there's plenty of message left.
Can you tell us? Can you?
No. You know what I mean, we have amazing technology now that didn't exist then. So I could write with today's current AI
Hmm.
in the various Chinese supercomputers
That's
that I
right.
have working on my behalf, I could have a program generate hundreds of characters of random text, something unimaginable in the dead bygone days of 2005. That you could
That's
just
right.
have if there were hundreds of characters of text, because it clearly was a cogent sentence. Because otherwise, why would it be there? It wouldn't. Deeper code.
Deeper code.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do the super chat? I've now lost track.
We have not. We haven't read the Sonic Shrooms.
Sonic
Super chat.
Shroom 420 is 10 times the meaning of life in the life universe and everything. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should have had, speaking of AI, we should have had the AI just go through and be like, hey, find the word nuke and tell me, or nuclear.
Oh,
or
to
bomb.
find out where in the code. I didn't.
Where is this? And then,
Well, the trouble is we did this one late, so
We
this
did.
was a
Okay, my
last
fault.
minute prep for the show.
Yeah.
Do we? How do you feel about jumping to calls?
Let's go to calls. This guy's just making me angrier and angrier.
Yeah.
And I feel like he has nothing. There ain't nothing here. Well,
He's only halfway into his solo stuff.
He quite clearly has no actual hard backing for any of this. Yeah.
He's doing a little bit every time he's cornered on methodology. He's just doing a dance. So
yeah, sure. Ahead, go ahead, Axel. Check off AI singularity. Whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to check off Nibiru / Planet X. What do you think about that?
No.
There are no rules, Paul. You can't stop me. I'm checking it.
That seems connected. Absolutely connected. That's all there is to it. I've seen it work. I've seen it happen. I've seen it demonstrated. It seems real. So you're saying that once this is understood by enough people, it will be shared at a level that we don't exactly understand yet, but nevertheless shared.
Maybe not even on a conscious level.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Just I'm
You are 10 years into the internet at this point.
I'm just glad. I'm glad we're missing all of this. Yeah.
I jumped ahead. This is the jump ahead.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Jump ahead the thing. Yep. This is
it'll be shared on a level that we don't understand,
once
Mr. 10 years.
Yeah, we're gonna understand. See,
But what does that even mean, sharing? Like, Facebook existed already.
Numbers beyond numbers. Yeah.
Numbers beyond numbers. I actually, Facebook, I don't know if it did in 2005. No, I think it was 06. When anything, it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
We had MySpace.
We did have MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that studies have shown, Art, is we seem to be at our best when something unites us, and in the past, it's always been a tragedy. When there's a
it's
tragedy,
true. When we have a common enemy,
seem
we're
to
pretty
break
good at
down
that.
those barriers that have separated us in the past, and we work together towards a greater good. My question writing the book is, does it have to be a tragedy that brings us together? Can there be...
Sonic Shroom, just so I jumped forward half an hour because I jumped ahead half hour.
A piece of information that is so empowering and so fresh and holds such a possibility that maybe it has the same effect, and
it's
if so,
good question.
Could a message in ourselves have that effect?
Right. First time caller line.
Good morning, Greg.
Calling from Alaska. Hi, Greg. Yeah. Oh boy, you're after my heart here.
That poster behind me is a Flash Gordon movie poster.
Flash.
Whoa! He loves every one of us. I turn off lights to try and fix the glare, but then it would be dark and we wouldn't be able to see the glare because my setup isn't good.
To catch 22.
Yeah, this isn't an actual sort of studio.
Actually, I don't know.
And for anyone, so this is an actual. This is not a recreation. This is an actual Flash Gordon movie poster from I think 1983 is when Flash Gordon came out. That hung in a movie theater in 1983. Like, this is a real deal, actual double sheet movie poster. Yeah.
So there's printing on the back as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you need a shadow box to show off.
That's the actual test, though. I guess it's amazing how many people don't understand that. Movie posters are all like it's proper posters that go to movie theaters. At least they used to be.
Yeah, it depends. Like, not all of them, But yes, the ones that were like, that's why they have light shining behind in like the shadow
Right,
boxes.
but up until roughly the time of the show,
Yeah.
the movie that you could anything that if it was white on the back, well, that never hung in a movie theater, basically.
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, but
Well, you can't say
not
it didn't,
true.
but it wasn't.
Yeah,
That wasn't
'cause
one of
they
the
would
ones that
have,
they.
like, it wasn't one of the big like main ones, but they would
Yeah.
put posters. Just they had.
It
the
has no
cheaper
collectible
versions.
value if it didn't have
No.
ink on the back. Is basically what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one does. This is
There you
the
go.
real deal. Yeah, but I do
I
not have a proper box to display it. I've been thinking of. The other thing is, this is. It's a different size. It's a slightly different size. I can't remember the exact numbers. So the year that Flash Gordon came out was the last year that like was the standard movie poster size, and then they changed it by a couple of inches. So all of the frames and shadow boxes that you can kind of like buy now do not fit 70s and 80s posters. These ones are bigger. So I basically have to, you either spend like $600 or I will probably just make my own one at some point. But yeah, it's a whole thing, and I'm just like, God damn it. Literally, if the movie came out last year, it'd be like, and it's the standard size that's still used now for
right, and you can get you can get one of a
poster.
million. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I've been studying this for 35 years, and I came upon a life-death experience 35 years ago, and I laid there for 3 hours in a cardiac arrest just seeing the parable of the Bible and what it means. And now is the time that it's meant to be released. I believe that intentionally. But I see the simplistic side.
So the caller just opened up saying that, yeah, when he was near death, the Bible stories of his youth were what he experienced.
Yeah.
Okay. That tells me nothing.
Tells you the Bible's true.
What if I was near death and I spent, all that time and Star Wars was playing in my head? Does that mean Star Wars is true?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
But it's in a galaxy far, far away, Paul.
Oh, I see.
So there's no appreciable.
Your story checks out. So it was a long, yeah. It's true, but it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
You see the more of a complex side. I look at the Bible as no more than an owner's manual.
Is that on someone's? Is that on someone's checklist?
On somebody's card. It's not on mine.
It's got to be on someone's card. I did randomly. I could have picked anything, and I just there you go.
But you are who
bonus
you are.
For somebody.
God, which is you, and we are the greatest riddle upon the face of the planet. And we're,
for a second, I thought he was going to say we are the greatest country on earth, but no, he's getting too philosophical. Yeah.
Just beginning to. I can go on and on and on here, and I'd really like to get your number and talk to you in depth more after.
Well, I don't know that we can arrange that for you, but we can arrange perhaps a way to contact Gregg Braden. Now, Gregg, you've got a website. Obviously, there's going to be some way to contact you. Do you want to give out your email?
Sure. Well, it's on the website, greggbraden.com.
Right.
Gregg with 2 G's, and there's contact information on there. I'm on the road, so it all goes through my office in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
All right. So if they want to get in touch with you, go to greggbraden.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Or no, wait. It says www.greggbraden.net.
Either one.
Oh, either one.
Either one goes. We got them all going to the same place.
All right. www.greggbraden.net. Or
my sense is Art is.
What's that, Dave?
I'm seeing. Sadly, Gregg's website no longer.
What are you talking about? I have it right here. greggbraden.com.
Oh, I went to greggbraden.net, which is the one he was just saying. Okay, so let's go to .com.
He let those other. Apparently, he let those other ones lapse.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Wow. That looks like an AI combined Werner Herzog and Wolverine. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know if you noticed, Dave, he's been endorsed by Deepak Chopra.
Well, then that's it. Awakening the Power of a New Human Story.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 2020 Templeton Prize nominee.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a fractal time calculator as just as a convenience on his website.
Consuming our humanness in an age of AI. A virtual
Mhm.
masterclass with Gregg Braden.
Wow. So he sold a lot of books telling this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways,
Although,
his research has led to 15 film credits and 12 award-winning books. Which
wow.
awards? Well, don't worry about that. Not a lot here about his DNA code.
No, it doesn't seem like maybe he didn't come around and crack that, or maybe it was just that's so blasé he doesn't even list it anymore.
So he's got. So I'm looking at his books. There's Pure Human: The Hidden Truth of Our Divinity, Power, Destiny, with a DNA picture on the cover. So I assume that's Wisdom Codes: The Science of Self-Empowerment. Is this like the secret?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
All right, I'm over. Oh,
We're
the God
bored.
Code. There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm
now
on 0 points. The Isaiah Effect. It's quoting the lost science of prayer and prophecy. Wow, he knows the truths. So,
well, we need to be respectful because this guy's clearly cooler than us. So,
I mean, he's got a lot more hair than I do. Yeah.
We get into deeper layers of the code, we're going to see that owner's manual in a way that that may be even clearer than we've ever seen it before, encoded right into the creation itself.
Once again, you wouldn't like to speculate on what's to come, would you?
My sense is that I think we're going to find a replica of some of our most cherished textual traditions encoded into the cells of our bodies, including some of the papyrus that we found in Egypt, the actual language of those, the mystical language that we've seen as the basis of those traditions. I wouldn't be surprised to see them encoded into the cells of all life.
You don't suppose
I would be
they
very
might find...
surprised. I, for one, would be very surprised.
I will. So would.
Yeah.
What a coincidence that the story of how Moses led people out of Egypt also happens to encode for eyeballs.
Yes.
Just coincidentally.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Find what was inscribed on tablets as well as now cells, do you?
It's a possibility, and I'll just be very, very clear, Art. I haven't seen that yet, so I don't want to imply that I have. But
no, I asked you for speculation.
Sure. Well, when I'm looking for patterns, what we find is the same number of letters in very specific portions of those texts we find in very specific places in the codes of our cells. So it's interesting that the number of letters are there, that many of the numbers translate the same, though they have not been translated into the text as of yet.
All right. Wildcard Line, you're on the air with Gregg Braden. Hi.
Hi, this is Vinny from Avon Lake, WTAM.
Yo, Vinny.
Yes, Vinny.
And I think that if his research is going to be confirmed, he's making the fuel for two very controversial fires. First of all, Darwinism.
Where'd he go? Where'd you go, buddy? Let's try it again. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you are there. Good.
Yeah,
Got
can you
cut
hear
off
me?
for a moment. Yes.
Okay. The theory of creation versus Darwinism. Right now, there's a Board of Education controversy.
Darwinism. Yeah, right now in 2005, Paul.
That's right. Yeah, it was a hot
there is a recently brewing controversy, a hot debate: creationism versus Darwinism. It was big news.
Yeah,
you might remember from your.
That's right. The Scopes monkey trial was but 75 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Now a lot of people don't realize that's because Scopes had the corpse of over 170 monkeys buried in his backyard. Because he hated them and what they represented for evolution. He killed one every month for years.
Oh, I see.
And when they found out, like it was a big deal. There was a big trial, about all these dead monkeys. Yeah.
Kansas, and a bunch of scientists are boycotting the hearing because their hearts are set on Darwinism.
Yes, a lot of scientists are boycotting.
Are boycotting the hearing because they're set on Darwinism.
By hearing, do you mean a bunch of creationists at a conference?
Nope. I mean, the Darwinists are boycotting this hearing because Darwinism.
All the scientists were boycotting the Flat Earth Society hearings
Mm-hmm.
that were held up in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing is genetic engineering, and Gregg is feeding fuel to the fire of, I don't know, you could call it blasphemy to be tampering with our genetic code. So I was wondering if he'd care to comment on either.
Based on what? Even as a Christian, based on what? How is that blasphemy?
I think what he's saying is if you were to edit the genes, then you would be, inadvertently be changing the Bible while you're editing the genes, because it has the story of of the great flood in our genes.
Oh, there's been so much wild conjecture of Ashanti. You just feel free to go ahead and take
Yeah,
that off.
yeah.
It's not like my collective consciousness, Nibiru, which is me cheating. That is an actual thing that has happened. Yeah. Speaking of, I'm going to tick off Tarot because he's just using random shit to tell the future. It's basically the same thing. And I feel like you're going to give me that one.
Tonight, I don't know.
It could be cards. He's just using numbers on a page that he's just randomly assigning values to. It's the same shit. Go for it. Yeah, whatever.
I feel like Y2K is unlikely given it was in 2005. But...
Is it? Or whoop, look at that.
Those issues.
Let's tackle both.
Paul, that the world and society has taught me in the last 5 years. You can just kind of say whatever. And guess what? Guess what? Say it enough.
Sure. The whole evolution creation thing.
Well, first of all, this is one of the reasons, again, the code, I translated the first part of this code in 01. I went through some personal things, as you can imagine, processes, in coming to terms with how I wanted to release it.
Yeah, I bet.
And the best.
Because what I really wanted was this book to sell a lot of money so that I would get a lot of money.
Yeah, I got a lot
but then
of
I
money.
couldn't figure out the best way to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't want people asking a lot of questions, but I still wanted a lot of money.
Got DNA.
So as you can imagine, that's quite a tightrope to walk.
Yeah, I want to make sure that everybody. I want to make. I feel a moral obligation to get the message out there, Paul, that God in the body eternal. Like, but like I got bills to pay. I got, I want to eat. I got so I can't just go out on, and be blurting everywhere.
No,
eternal. I got to figure out how to monetize that, and I get it.
Look, popping my collar ain't free.
Pants. Yeah,
I can't just be popping collar for no money.
Yeah. And yet, I feel like he did. I feel like he does pop collar for no money whatsoever. Yeah. I feel like this is a guy who walks up to random women at the gym and starts giving them helpful tips on how they should be properly deadlifting. I just get that vibe off him. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, he's he goes to bookstores looking for his books and telling them that he's got his books in the wrong section.
So this is legit. Magic Carrot points out, Paul, that they did in fact mention Jesus by the name Yeshua. They
for sure that's true.
So unlike my other more accurate and true statements, this one.
You're right. You get that one. Yep. I'll give you that one.
Mm-hmm.
Even by my own stringent standards.
Your own stringent standards. Yeah.
I had people ask me to do it as a very technical white paper that would have been reviewed for six plus years. Others.
I didn't want people to review it. That seems like it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Whoa. We don't need a lot of Western scientists reviewing.
We've already established that scientists can't come to the same conclusion that he does.
Nope. Because he had to look beyond science.
That's right.
just write a book. I took a middle of the road. The white paper is still being developed. Both of those, both Darwinism, creationism, I address in the book, as well as many other implications, and I'm acknowledging they're all there. For me, I'm simply sharing what I found, and I'm saying this is an unprecedented principle of unity, and that's my focus.
But it would conclusively point to intelligent design.
Precisely, and this is, when we go back into Darwin's work, so many people like to quote Darwin as being in favor of his own theories, and in fact, in his book, Origin of Species, he questioned his own theories. He said, even I believe that the complexity of life is almost too great to have come purely from natural selection. And he
Almost is doing a lot of work there, my friend.
Yeah. I'll tell you who wasn't a fan of his own theories.
Darwin shit on Darwinism all the time.
That's why, that's why the crazy erosion of Darwinism, just another sect, just another choice among the many. You know, like you can choose whatever creed you want to. Some people, you know, are Moonies. Some people are Darwinists. Whatever you were raised in this multicultural age.
Well, he is from, what was he? Mississippi. Where was he from? Missouri. He was from Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri.
The DEI capital of the world over at Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
This is the example of an eye, where he says to assume that the eye arose purely by natural selection. His term is absurd. He said there's something else.
This is a famous chapter. You know this chapter, right?
Absolutely not. I've never read The Origin of Species.
Okay, so this is the famous chapter where he opens it up by saying, I agree that something like the evolution of the eye, at first glance, seems entirely absurd.
Okay.
But then he spends the entire rest of the chapter outlining how eyes evolved.
Right.
But he opens with, I agree, this seems absurd. Well,
it seems absurd, yeah.
So creationists, this is their the most favorite thing ever. Because Darwin says, evolution is absurd. Yeah. And this is exactly what fuckface McGee here. Now I've lost all candor.
No, I don't know if
Gregg with two G's.
I tried, as is so often the case, I tried to advocate for this man and his views, and he's infuriated me. He's too
going on. Darwin said that himself. So people like to quote Darwin to support their theories of evolution, when in fact Darwin was very open when he said there's probably something else going on. Francis
he
Crick
never
says
did.
the same thing.
All right, now we have decoded our genetic mystery. And
did he just throw in a casual Francis Crick said the same thing?
I didn't catch that, but maybe he did.
So Francis Crick, largely inventor of DNA, right? Like he's credited as not inventor of DNA, discoverer of DNA.
Right.
That's of course a spectrum, so you can't. But whatever. Francis Crick actually, as far as I know, actually did probably believe in God in some general sense, but he wasn't like evolution, maybe not. That wasn't his take.
Right.
Yeah. No.
We are now on the edge of tampering with our genetic mystery. And if, in fact, it is, as you suggest, written by our designer, then our tampering with that message, well, I don't know, it just would seem inadvisable. The caller used the word blasphemy.
Well, what'll be interesting, Art, is when we can actually take the entire code as it becomes translated into text, and when we go about splicing a piece here or splicing a piece there to see what it actually says to the text, I think we'll have the answer to what we're asking. But
that is one way to solve. Don't worry about this whole whether the genetic editing you're doing is safe. Just see if the end result is a coherent story.
Yeah.
If it makes a coherent story, it'll be fine.
And just
it'll be fine. Oh, sure, the thing was born with 1.5 heads. That's all right.
Yeah, and whatever.
And whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the flip side,
Also, like, there's just so much. Which text is he using?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and also, like, does he think mutations didn't happen in nature, like that? The
Not in the preface.
humans have always had, and also as we already, there's 3 billion base pairs. Which of these 3 billion base pairs are you reading?
Whose DNA are you reading?
Right, yours and my DNA are not the same. No, because we are not identical twins. Even though that
Or
would be
are
a
we?
hilarious movie. What if we were identical twins?
I know, right?
That would be a hilarious movie premise.
Which of us is the Arnold Schwarzenegger? Which is the Danny DeVito?
I'm Danny DeVito. You're Schwarzenegger.
I don't feel like either of us are as driven or athletic.
No,
as
that's what's funny about it. Is it's neither.
We're just. I'm the tall, fat Danny DeVito.
I'm the short, fat Danny DeVito. We're all just
All I know is I'm allergic to dogs. So
two roughly average people.
Yeah, two roughly average people. Put them together and you get one roughly average person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it's what the military medical personnel were asking me. They're saying, can we take tissue, convert that tissue, the DNA in that tissue into a sequence so the tissue can actually tell us what it's expressing, what the cancer is saying? Or
Once again, go ahead. What were you saying?
There's a lot of just kind of very vague hand wavery things. What if you take tissue? I assume in this case, cancerous tissue. We probably missed this section of conversation somewhere. What's the cancer saying? It's probably not much of anything because it's
no. This is so. As a cancer survivor, I'm thrilled to hear that what was happening as cells were multiplying rapidly throughout my body in ways that they shouldn't. That what that really was just a version. That was just a version 1.1 of the story. That really, if we had just taken some time to sequence that and read it,
you know what happened, Paul?
What's that?
Your story got fucked up. You know by who? The devil.
No.
Let me tell you what I know about the devil, Paul. Devil's got hands. He uses them for holding things, and he got into yours. And that was your problem. And the story got messed up. It was just a whole lot of hoopla.
So instead of wait, the message is God eternal in body.
God wasn't it? God is in the body eternal.
God in body eternal.
Something.
And
like
so
that.
my cancer was really saying God in baloney eternal.
No,
or something.
It was just fuck you, Paul.
Oh, it's just
you in particular.
If we so I think it was messed up so much that it was just like it was literally fuck you in particular.
Yeah. And your hand. Especially your hand.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Neat.
What the Down syndrome is saying to us. And if we are artificially doing this, then we're going to be able to answer our own question. We're going to see what sentence we're writing back to...
Oh, there's clickies.
Oh, the clickies. But if we get the ability, can't we just write any message we want?
Apparently, as long as it's coherent, it's also going to be biologically viable.
So, once you have the ability to edit DNA, you could just make it say whatever you want.
Right. So theoretically, if we just had a blank slate if we just had some blank DNA paper, we could just put,
say, for example, in your hand,
Canterbury Tales down.
Yeah.
And that would obviously naturally create a viable organism. Obviously.
Probably not, because Canterbury Tales is problematic and has a lot of mixed metaphors. But if you pick something meaningful and spiritual,
I see.
Not that Darwinism.
So like the Lord's, if you made the Lord's Prayer on DNA, then you would probably get a very beautiful creature of some sort,
right? Or something even like a deeper spiritual truth, like the sound "ga" that appears in pretty much every culture's depiction of the divine. So if you just sort of put "ga" over and over again.
And I've studied every language that ever existed, and did you know that "ga" in every language that
Mhm.
ever existed means the same
Yeah.
thing?
I mean, or at least the 5 Mediterranean ones I've looked at. Yeah.
Hmm.
Have
Yeah.
a two-way conversation with our bodies. I mean, the implications are just mind-boggling.
Talking
Absolutely
to
mind-boggling.
tissue. All right. East of the Rockies.
Two-way conversation infers that your
Mhm.
DNA is just changing
Yeah. Well,
in
you know,
response to.
start fucking with it and see what happens. just sort of randomly rewrite chunks of DNA and then let her buck and whatever you get back.
see what happens.
Yeah. The two-way conversation is, well, his heart didn't work right and he died.
This seems a little bit more like the movie The Fly than anything. Well, all
Mm.
right, whatever.
I mean, amongst other horrible
Mm.
body horror.
Yeah, body horror films.
Yeah.
Timothy
color-
Harmon writes, God in
Yeah.
body eternal, but not yours, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine because I do not give God consent to be in my body eternal.
Doesn't need it. It's his body. You're just renting it.
No.
Yeah.
I
He's letting you in.
no means no. No means no,
There's-
God.
Yeah. There's no renter's board for your body. God can do whatever he wants.
You're on the air with Gregg Braden. Good morning.
Yes, hi, Greg.
Good morning.
First thing I'd like to say is God bless you for what you're doing.
Well, it's good for me
Yeah.
to hear that this morning.
I thought it might be sneeze related, but all right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I got so excited, I called one of the ministries about this. I mean, I'm just jumping up and down over this. And, I've been with Jesus himself, and I'll tell you what, he loves us so much. And he would want us.
Have you been with Jesus in the biblical sense?
I mean, I am very curious to dig into that statement. Yeah.
I've been with Jesus. We were, he's into some weird stuff, but I was with Jesus, and
I was with
afterwards
Jesus,
he was telling me he loves this stuff. We were listening to the Art Bell in our after our heat of passion.
Jesus and I went down to Daytona,
That's right.
watched the races. It was pretty awesome. Had a good old time.
We were listening to you on the radio, and Jesus said, that's some good shit. That Gregg Braden.
He's got oh shit, he figured it out. Oh man. Well,
He said, "Hey, what do you think about that Gregg Braden? You mean the guy from that what's the show, the Braden Bunch, the show where no that's Greg Brady. No, we're talking about now the Gregg Braden,
former Cisco software engineer.
That's right.
Gregg Braden. Man, that guy knows what's up.
Exactly.
He's got to figure it out. We got a super chat, Paul.
We do, from Brain Cramp.
Brain Cramp.
$5 American, thank you. Which we are now it's at past midnight here at least, so we're translating that to that's 25% more here
So
now.
that's like $6.10.
Yeah. So
Now.
this
Or
may be
$3.90. I don't know which way the math works.
We'll see how that works.
Yeah.
But the Brain Cramp writes, this may be controversial, but it's the same in every language.
Yes. From now on, also, you are the Brain Cramp. Just
That's right. It's the Brain Cramp.
you're the Brain Cramp. Jay Victor.
Go ahead, Dave.
Paul.
Yes, Dave.
When God impregnated Mary, he didn't ask for consent. All she got was a courtesy call from an angel. See? This is what I'm saying. You are ascribing your modern current this is
sensibilities, as they were.
Sensibilities.
Yes.
This is there's a term for it in history, and I can't remember the name of it. It's the viewing historical facts through the lens of modern morality, when it's like modern morality rules ain't applying. You're talking about the creator of the universe. He can just do whatever the fuck he wants to your body. You gotta just smile and say, "Thank you, sir. May I please have another?" That's it.
So that's actually probably what that message, God eternal in your body, actually means, is that I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. Guess what? I'm here to stay, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then God dropped the soap, and I just had to pick it up. Yeah. Paul.
And yes, Dave.
Olivia Williams. I don't know if you're familiar with Olivia Williams, but they have been a long time friend and supporter.
Indeed, they have been.
Even though I'm not on very often, so I assume they must like some of the other stuff you do.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. Anyways, they say, we'll spend this to say hi. And I can't think of a better way to spend your member chat other than to maybe say Dave's my favorite.
Well,
Hint, hint, hint,
you
hint.
you wouldn't want Olivia to lie on camera. That would be
wow. But that wouldn't be a lie.
well. We don't know. I don't know.
I feel like
I mean,
no, I don't know.
Olivia might have other favorites who aren't even on the screen right now.
No, that doesn't make any sense. What are you even talking about?
What are you even talking about?
Yep, there we go. That's my boy.
Okay. Well,
you're my boy, Brian. You're my boy. Hey, Paul. We have a member chat. Would you like to
another member chat? Oh, we do have a member chat.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Brian writes, Dave's my favorite. That's a well used. That's a worthy member chat.
Shh, Olivia, don't. Shh. I've seen it. It's so boring. It's him and Matt Dillahunty just blah 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 something. I don't even know, religiosity. Like there's so many like
no dark isn't real. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't encourage it. I've been trying to get him to just get into the trades. Just
yeah, that's right.
It's about time that he got a
nothing wrong with work boots, Paul. Work boots are fine.
Yes, work boots are fine. Isn't it time you got a real job? You have 3 adult children. Come on, it's about
That's
time.
Right.
you did something.
You know what? You're sponsored by pants. You can at least try and put some on every day.
One leg at a time, like the rest of us. Yeah.
All right. So I need to slip away for a sec, Dave. Do you want me to put on? Do you want me to put on art while you, or do you want to just interact with the chat?
Yeah. Let's throw some art on. Maybe something will happen that makes sense.
To know this, and I think this is his way. I think what Art said. You are going to change the world with this.
Well, we'll give people a reason to change. I know that. I appreciate your support this morning.
Yes, so do I. Very interesting stuff. West of the Rockies, you're on there with Gregg Braden. Hi. Hi.
West of the Rockies?
Yes.
Oh, hi. This is Dawn from Roanoke Park.
Yes.
Hi, Art. Hi, Greg.
Good morning.
Well, I am so glad to talk to you.
Well, I'm happy to hear your voice. You have a question for me this morning.
I have 2 things I want to run by you. I wanted to ask you. First of all, are you aware? Well, this is what I believe. I have been doing research on the symbol of the twin snakes and the caduceus and how it relates to our DNA, the symbol of our DNA, the strands.
Sure.
And I believe that we've known since the beginning of time about the sacredness of DNA or the sacredness in symbolism. And because it's everywhere in ancient times, and we've never really been able to figure out exactly what they were saying with all of these snakes entwined. And Western civilization demonized snakes, so we didn't get very far, I don't think. And I was going to ask you what your opinion is about that. Somehow it was instilled in us somewhere along the line, just as a symbol before language, as something sacred. And hello?
Yes.
And were you aware of that?
Well, certainly.
Oh, I thought maybe you might be. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about, first of all, I will say this, and I think you'll agree with me. God reveals, and God reveals in His time what we need to know. And He's a revealing God. And I think what you're doing is wonderful. And I wanted to ask you something about Genesis 1 and 2, where God says He created he-male and she-female in His own image. And then in Genesis 2, He forms them, the male and female, and they're separate there. But then he says, the man shall leave his family and cleave to his wife, and they shall be as one.
Ma'am, I don't think Gregg Braden is a biblical expert.
No.
If you want to comment on this, Greg.
Well, I wanted to ask him if he thought that was a representation of mankind being together as one.
All right, hold up.
This caller was all over the map, Paul. You missed some.
If this was a more modern call, I would have been pretty sure this was going into some kind of anti-trans rant. But so snakes, Dave, are symbols of DNA, as you know.
Yes, the caduceus,
That's all snake depictions are actually depictions of DNA, because we couldn't just be depicting a snake.
It's again another color. It's like, well, it's pretty much universal through human history. It's like, okay, not really.
Also, she also said Western society has put an animosity with snakes. It's like, well, isn't the point of Genesis 3 like trying to actually explain why Mediterranean people, like Middle Eastern people, had animosity towards snakes? Like, isn't its story?
I mean, I've always thought I've always thought the Garden of Eden. That's the reason we had animosity towards snakes.
Yeah, right. Like,
yeah. But yes, our Western culture has demonized snakes. Where also, that's another one. So the caduceus, it's universal in that it's universal in Greek and Greek descended cultures. Maybe there's twin wrapped snakes around a pole in other cultures. I don't know.
So the brain cramp.
Yeah.
The brain cramp says here, it makes an excellent point. So if you remember earlier, Greg with 2 G's here earlier said that these messages are actually across DNA of all species. I'd forgotten about that, but he actually did say the DNA of all species. So in the snake DNA, does it say God eternal in the body?
I don't know if you know this, Paul. I mean, it does, yes, but he's 60% G. So think about that. What does that mean? I mean, when you
what if you do the special God code on his name?
You know what else starts with G?
God.
And that's only also, like 33.3% G. So
that's right. What about Godzilla?
I mean, that's a Western bastardization of a
so Gojira is that I'm supposed to say instead?
Yeah, Gojira. Yeah. Which really is just a retelling of Gilgamesh, which is another way of saying Yeshua, which is a way of saying that this is all true and we had prehistoric nukes. What even do I need?
And the Knights Templar. Yeah.
Where are we at here?
We didn't. I think we've yada right over the prehistoric nukes. I'm very sad about that.
So Art no longer gets faxes, unfortunately, by the time this show rolled around. He's in
Y2K, I feel like, is not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
Well, you don't actually need that column down there on your side anyway.
No. I need well, okay. The caller did actually talk about his coma and near-death experience, and he's.
You know what? I actually cannot. I cannot. There was 100% a near-death experience. Yeah, you got that. You get that one.
I'm taking that.
So now you just need a.
Listen to Bureau Planet X and collect
no, but that were sacred. I feel like sacred geometry is in the possibility calling here. That's
I mean, there's 2 things in this column that are 100% bullshit. I just made up. That's
okay. I agree.
Well, this is going to be a Pyrrhic victory, but I will take any kind of victory I can get. In this economy, are you kidding me?
That's right. We're trying to snatch victory from defeat here.
We're not getting. We're managing to just snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Thomas Pickett, thank you so much for the super chat.
Yes. Yeah. There is a really good Star Trek: The Next Generation episode where the DNA of all sentience are DNA from an ancient alien species. It is a really good episode. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Fuck you.
Paul, what do you feel about that episode?
I hate those. It's 2 episodes.
The
dragged
classic
it out.
episode Chase. Is that, I believe that's what he's talking about. Yep. The Chase
then
part
they
1 and 2.
And then they dragged that into season 4 of Discovery.
So here's the thing, Thomas Pickett. My friend Paul does not share your opinion that that is a good episode of Star Trek.
I hate. It's probably among my least favorite.
I'm on your side. I think it's great and cool, and I liked it. Paul doesn't like fun, as has been discussed.
As has been discussed. Did you watch the Section 31 movie yet?
It's fucking terrible.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. It's so
wow. That's basically been the consensus I've heard is like don't even watch it. Don't even watch it for the fun of it being bad. Like it's so bad that it's not.
It's so bad it's not like it is not fun bad. Like there's a lot of stuff in say like Discovery, for example, thing where I'm like, wow, this is terrible, and it's just bad. Like it's just demonstrably bad. I don't understand what Paramount is doing with Star Trek. It's who worked on this and they worked on this for so many years.
Yeah.
This was like pre-COVID this started, and it's like this. It's so bad. It's so bad. Anyways, I don't want to get into.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I finished watching the Star Wars Goonies. What were they called? Skeleton Crew.
The Skeleton Crew. I thought it was fine.
I finished watching that. Yeah, no, that was like if you're literally like, I want someone to make Space Goonies.
Yeah.
Like awesome. Good job. You made Space Goonies. Perfect.
It's like I said, I think we talked about it. Like I understanding that I'm not the audience for this show.
Right.
I thought it did what it was supposed to do. It did it fine. I was entertained enough, mostly because Jude Law kind of elevated the discourse, but it's like, yep, you did what you had to do. Kind of like Clone Wars or the Bad Batch, whatever, where I'm like, this show isn't for me. This is a show aimed at 12-year-olds. And I think it does a good job, and it's fine. Like if all Star Trek TV series were at that level of quality of like hitting this is what we're trying to do, and we accomplish it this well, it'd be great. But then you've got, the Book of Boba Fett. So what are you gonna do? Yeah.
The Brain Cramp. Right. I'd rather watch Spock's brain on loop than rewatch Section 31.
It was so bad. Like just completely divorced from anything Star Wars related or Star Wars lore or what you know about the Federation. Like just demonstrably like just mechanically the nuts and bolts of how you make a movie. It's so bad. The dialogue's bad. The story's so bad. Like everything about it, you're just like, who looked at this and was like, yeah, no, this is good. This is the thing. This is what we got to do. It's so bad. You could do a filmmaking class on like, yeah, this is how not to make a movie. And yeah.
Well, at least it was expensive. That's what I heard.
At least it was really expensive. Yeah.
And and they had the Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh.
And it's like that's the thing. And what's her name from Halloween and like Tim Robbins' partner, Curtis, Jamie
Lee Curtis is in it.
She's in it. And, like,
what? I didn't know that.
Who are like they're Oscar caliber actors in this movie, and it's so bad, right? Like, there's only so much you can do. It's like I know Michelle Yeoh is good. She can be great. There's a lot of Michelle Yeoh movies that are fantastic. This isn't one of them. Yeah, to be fair, Jamie Lee Curtis just has essentially a cameo. She's in.
Okay, it was like, you're not thinking that you watched Everywhere All at Once or something like.
No. She's just like a hologram.
Okay,
like just a message.
I see. So that was more of a fun. That was like I put my buddy in the movie for a second.
At some point, they're like, "Yeah, I don't know what the deal was. If they just like were like, hey, Jamie Lee Curtis, you want to make $500,000,
right,
for 3 hours of work?" And it's like, "Oh, sure, I guess, yeah."
Right. But it's not like Kirstie Alley, who actually like was in Star Trek, right? Like it was like, oh,
Yeah.
you were
No.
in the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like I don't know. It's the worst
I'm
Star
sorry.
Trek thing I think I've ever seen. It's really bad.
Shannon's had a bit of a rough little bit, you know. This is a bad time in her for her. January's always not great, and in the kind of work she does, which I'm not discussing too much, but so I've often said, well, the Star Trek's put out this movie and make you feel better about your life. Like that's as far as I can tell, that's what it's supposed to be for. So
Nope. Just
no.
like watch literally anything else.
Yeah.
It would be kind of so Paul, the Book of Boba Fett is a very comparable, right? Where it'd been like, well, you're a big Star Wars fan, so like watch this. And you'd be like, what the fuck was that? What? There's nothing entertaining about this in any way. Except that's not true, because the Book of Boba Fett is so bad. Like there is schadenfreude to be had from it. It's things like the scooter gang and stuff where you're just like, what is going on here? And it's entertaining, and you're just like, how bad can this get? Section 31 is just bad. It is just unentertaining in every way. That's it. That's all the Bimon Sci-Fi Con we're getting today. Do not watch Section 31.
All right,
that's
fair enough.
my recommendation. Yeah.
But now you've made me want to watch it more. That's the thing.
You watch it more. Yeah.
But I won't probably. Shannon's beloved franchise is Star Trek, so I probably won't force her to watch it.
Don't. Just do not.
Yeah.
It will just upset her. It will upset her deeply.
Thomas Pickett, thank you for the super chat. Writes, we need to find out what blackmail material Alex Kurtzman has on Paramount. There's no way to think he's good at making Star Trek. Well,
yeah, like I don't know. So I guess we're gonna have this conversation. Like, I feel like it's hard from the outside. Part of it's because so many of ratings and things like are kind of hidden behind with streaming services. You don't really know, like they don't release numbers, so we just never know, right? It's not like Nielsen ratings where you kind of know who's watching shows.
Sure.
Like, are people watching Discovery? Did Discovery do well? It was on for 4 or 5 seasons, whatever it was, even though I thought it was terrible. Apparently it was good enough or had enough attention that they made multiple seasons. Like, are people watching Brave New World? I like Lower Decks. Kurtzman doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's a comedy series. It's animated.
So
it's fun.
You watch Strange New Worlds, don't you?
I watched the first season, and it was fine. It was good.
I think Strange New Worlds is the best Trek since TNG.
I agree. Well, Deep Space Nine
I think it's better than so this is the thing, it's gotten better and better, and I think it's better now.
Yes.
Than DS9. Even though I love, like, I got nothing bad to say about DS9. I'm just saying Strange New Worlds has gotten quite good.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
But like Picard and Discovery were not good.
No, they were not. Not even season 3 of Picard, whichever like people rave about it. I'm like, oh no, they just salvaged it by making it nostalgia.
It was better in that it.
Well, it was better, but it was still just. It was still just nostalgia pandering. Like it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Anyway, blah blah blah.
This do not understand how Alex Kurtzman keeps getting jobs. Like why they're.
I actually, even though
that's the thing. Like, are there numbers to back it? Because that's the end of the day. Like these are corporations, and if they are making money, like they will keep giving. It's kind of like I didn't really like any of the Zack Snyder DC stuff, or almost none of it. It's unfair to say I hated all of it, but most of it I was not a fan of at all. But it made money, so they're like, well, whatever. Like we'll let him keep doing it because it makes money every time he releases a movie.
So, I think Kurtzman. I'm in a weird position because they actually have paid me money for scripts.
Yeah.
But why can't I think of Kurtzman's partner?
Oh, I can't remember, but I know who you mean. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so that first Star Trek film, the J.J. Abrams one.
Yeah.
That kind of launched them.
A lot of
That kind of
people,
launched them into golden boy positions when that was probably
right?
not necessarily fair, but yeah. And then I feel like they just haven't had anyone step up. Paramount's just I don't think Paramount knows what they're doing with any
No,
of this anything. They don't know if they don't actually even want to have a streaming service. They keep like, oh shoot, we actually made a show that everyone wants to watch.
but it's like I don't know. That's why I'm like, are they just stumbling around? They don't
Yellowstone,
know
I'm
what
talking
to
about, by
do.
the
And
way.
they
I'm
don't
not
know
talking
how
about Star Trek.
to. And they've got South Park, which does very well, and I assume Paramount Plus. Like South Park is consistently popular. But like I mean, they could see. So like, are there enough people watching these Star Trek things that they're like, well, whatever, 20 million people watched season 3 of Picard, so I guess this guy's doing something good, and we're gonna let him keep doing what he wants.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
going back to the Super Chat, I actually weirdly like if it came out at some point that like Alex Kurtzman absolutely had been blackmailing, the
Yeah.
heads of Paramount. If I'll just set aside the fact that Paramount has gone through like more CEOs while under Kurtzman's reign.
Yeah.
but like I would say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like that to me, like
But
that
there's
makes
also
more sense than that.
even going back, like there's ample examples through history of people who are essentially like just super good at bullshitting
Mm,
and are able to like consistently, like even though what they're clearly doing is like some kind of Ponzi scheme or scam, they keep talking people into giving them sometimes like multinational banks and things where it's like, yep, I know, like we lost $100 million the last 4 times we did this,
that's
but
right.
somehow I was able to talk Lloyd's of London or whatever. Like I'm like you're looking back in history and you're like, how the hell, like what are you thinking that
Yeah, yeah.
everybody else who's ever invested in this has absolutely lost their shirt, but somehow this person gets into a boardroom and just spins some tale and manages to convince all of these highly educated people, yep, trust me, I know all the other times everybody lost all their money, but this time we're going to do it. And I mean, that has happened again and again and again and again and again through history. Somehow there are certain people who just have that, or whether you call it, or they're the paragons of sales or whatever. They can get
Yep.
in if they get you face to face and sit down for like a lunch meeting. They can convince you, nope, trust me, this time it's going to be great. I've got the answer.
Yeah,
Maybe
like,
Kurtzman's just that. Like he's just
but the thing
really
is, you
good
go
at.
through, you go his list. Like, where's the home runs here? Like Transformers, Beast Wars.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay, so Fringe, he was the consulting. So Fringe, actually, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's the. I'll
To be
take
fair,
that.
Transformers Beast Wars was a very successful show.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. But I remember this was when he came to my attention. At least was the
Yeah.
Star Trek. I didn't know he did a couple episodes of Xena. But yeah, like there's no home runs here.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, the worst Spider-Man of all.
There, Spider-Man. What was the name of the Spider-Man 3? The one with Venom.
No, I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is worse than Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man
yeah,
3. No, I
I
think
actually
so.
agree. I agree. That is
Yeah.
the worst Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough about Alex Kurtzman. We're here for other things.
Are we? I'm done with this jackass.
I am too, actually, and I need to be up early tomorrow, Dave. So I maybe should.
We can call it good. Maybe we don't need to go 4 hours tonight.
Maybe don't. Maybe don't. I do have to be up early at a few hours to do some things here.
Okay.
So I think we learned that this guy was just talking out of his ass the whole time to sell books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have a joke to end the show on, Dave?
Oh, Paul, do we have a joke?
Indeed.
Man. Hey, Paul.
Yes, Dave.
What side of a chicken has the most feathers?
What side of a chicken has the most feathers?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Dave. Which side of a chicken has the most feathers?
Outside. There you go. That last week's was a little long, so we'll keep it.
I like it. I like it. That was great. That was great. That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight on this impromptu. Not it wasn't impromptu exactly, but it was we a little scramble put together. I hope you all had fun with us, and that we were all essentially extremely angry at Greg with 2 G's here.
This is just I'm throwing 60% G on the pile with jackass Stargate guy. This is
That's
bullshit.
right. That's right.
Bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got no prehistoric nukes at all. So
I mean, I feel like we skipped. We should have. Well, you know what? Lesson for next time.
that lesson for next time. But yes, we
live and learn.
We have one last super chat here, Dave.
Oh my goodness.
Quasimeo, thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Writes night and thanks for the stream.
Holy shit, 17 months. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. And they ain't nothing.
All right.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone. And we will talk to you next time. Later.
And that's the end of our show. Maybe. or maybe we have some more.
Nope. It's I was waiting for the thing to.
Oh.
We're